Hello, 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 everybody. Wow, we are excited that month of May salvation testimony. Thank you so much for waiting. I know you are excited. You can't wait to hear and what God is doing all around the world. This is what salvation testimony, when we are bringing you stories from all over the world of what the Lord is doing in the life of people everywhere that turn to Him. And today's story will surely blow your mind. So sit tight, don't go anywhere. I am so excited. And as usual, I would like to know what country are you joining us from today? Put it in the comments, I also want to see your dancing emoji, because we are so grateful, we are so thankful to the Lord Jesus for His goodness, His loving kindness in our lives. So on the comment section, put what country you are joining me from, put a dancing emoji, because of today's story will definitely blow your mind. It will encourage you, it will strengthen you in the, and we are believing that it will bring so many lives into the kingdom. Yes, and while you are typing, I want to quickly share with us the countries all around the world that we have brought you salvation testimonies from, okay? So we have brought you salvation testimony from India, from Somalia, from Vietnam, from Guinea, from Indonesia, from Cambodia, from Congo, from Panama, from USA, from Pakistan, from South Africa. In fact, you know what? Let me not say it right now. We have salvation testimony from USA 1 and 2, from what? From New Zealand, from South Korea, from France. Hey, this music is so jammy. I know I can hear my guest clapping in the background, but no worries, she's coming soon. We brought you salvation testimony from France, from Sierra Leone, from Germany, from Canada, from Iran, from Mexico, from Afghanistan. Yes, it is the Lord's doing. It is the Lord that is touching all these people to come out and share, because it's not easy, but we praise the Lord. Okay, we brought you salvation testimony from United Kingdom, Venezuela, Yemen, Burma. Let me go through the list. Okay, salvation testimony from Ivory Coast, Lebanon, Nepal, Egypt, Malaysia, Uganda, Kenya, Zambia. Last month, you people remember last month now? You remember last month? Can you guess? Last month was from Nigeria. Okay. And today, the month of May 2026, salvation testimony from what country? For what country? Wait. Let me see. Can anybody in the comment section guess? She's representing 2 different countries. She's going to focus on one, but the month of May salvation testimony is from Australia and South Africa. Hey. Can you bring out our special guest? Bring our special guest up. Hello.
Hello.
You have to dance, Miss Tessa. You have to dance. Thank you for dancing. Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you today. We're going to turn down the music as we get started. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me. That was a lovely introduction.
2 countries, Australia and South Africa. Can you tell us, you know what, before we go into the country, please tell my viewers your name and just anything you want to say to us right now. And we're so glad you're here.
I am Tessa Williams. I'm now living in Sydney, Australia. I was born in Cape Town, South Africa, but I came here when I was 3 years old. So I'm basically an Aussie, but I do still speak Afrikaans. And
wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
still.
this is wonderful. That is cool. So, since you have a little bit of South Africa, a little bit of
Mhm.
a lot of Australia, just give us a tidbit about South Africa so that our South African viewers can relate, and then tell us more about the country you're representing today, which is Australia. Go ahead, please.
Oh, the reason I know how to speak good Afrikaans because when I got into trouble, my parents would tell me off in Afrikaans. That's how you knew you were in a lot of trouble. So yeah, that's how I learned how to speak it because I was always in trouble. And
Oh, wow.
I kept it up because I speak to the cat in Afrikaans. And now there's a little girl at the church who couldn't speak English and only Afrikaans. So I used to
Oh,
talk to her a lot. Now
wow.
she, now
Wow.
she speaks English.
Wow. So at 3 years old, you left uh, South Africa,
Yes,
migrated to Australia, and
yes,
pretty much most of your life till now has been spent in Australia, right? Could
yes.
you tell us a little bit about the country? What is it like? Is it a Christian country? What is the religious atmosphere like before we go into your personal story?
Of Australia?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Of Australia.
Australia, like first of all, we left South Africa because my parents felt it was very dangerous and there was more work opportunities over in Australia. So they
Hmm.
just left during apartheid. And when we went to Australia, my goodness, it was very racist. It was a
Hmm.
shock because we left apartheid South Africa, being coloured South Africans, and came into a country that was just as racist, if not more.
Wow.
And growing up, I was called every name under the sun because if you were not Italian or Aboriginal or Asian, they assumed like, yeah, you're probably one of the Aboriginals, which didn't have a good reputation in Australia at the time.
And
And
Aboriginal
yeah,
means black, right?
They are the Torres Strait Islanders. They're the native Australians.
Yeah, but they are dark skin.
They're dark skinned.
Okay, okay. Because I had watched a movie about it a long time ago, so I'm trying to recall in my memory. Okay, so please continue. Tell us more about it, like the spiritual atmosphere while
Spiritual.
you were
Oh,
growing
they
up.
when I was growing up, my parents,
Mhm.
to, I don't know, to kind of like meet people. I'm not sure why they went to the Brethren Church, to be honest, but they went straight to the Brethren Church, and which was one of the worst churches they could have went into because growing up, I didn't have any good memories of this church because kids, especially small kids, were expected to behave like adults and sit through a
Mhm.
boring service and listen to the word of God. And if you didn't, you were evil. You had a
Mhm.
demon in you. If because I was playing with my Barbies during church and I had them ripped out of my hand violently and then told to pay attention. And
Mhm.
yeah, just wow, like those days, I don't have any good memories of those churches. It was everything is evil. This is evil. That's evil. And if you questioned it, you were evil. And if you were behaving like a normal child, like me, you were evil. So growing up thinking, yes, I must be evil. And Australia is not really a Christian country. It's a very woke country.
Hmm.
Everything is LGBTQ and sex work is legalized here. So they're trying to be as woke as possible. And they have the whole month celebrating Mardi Gras and um, Pride Month. And
Pride.
yeah,
Another. Wow, that is something else. So basically, you did grow up in a religious home, but
yes.
a church that you didn't really understand, or
No,
they didn't treat kids well. Um, did you all like have any kind of like Bible reading in your home or anything like that? And did you have option to like?
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we had the Bible reading, but we had to memorize a Bible quote. And I could not for the life of me remember it by the time it got to, yeah, I didn't. I want to go play outside. I don't want to have to remember. And a lot of these little Bible verses were long. So,
Hmm.
yet not knowing the Bible verse and then being screamed at for not knowing it, and then being compared to the kids in the Sunday school who could actually remember theirs, like first,
Hmm.
it just eats away at you a little bit that, okay, maybe I'm just, God doesn't really like me. And then being told in the church that a certain girl had beautiful long blonde hair and I had short African hair, being told how
Hmm.
God has blessed her so much and look at that hair that she has on her head and thinking, okay, God must really hate me because I got this short curly hair. So just slowly, as a child, you're thinking you're not good enough for God. And it didn't get any better into my teens and going into a church camp. And, normal camps, people have fun. They, I don't know, go rowing, they go hiking. It was sitting in a hot tent every single day doing revival. And, I just left there going, no, I want nothing to do with churches and everything. And
So were your parents like ministers? How come you were spending so
yes.
much time in the church? They were ministers.
No, my dad, yes, he was.
Okay, your dad.
He did preach for a little while in the church. And one day he got up and he stood in front of the church and he said, I can no longer stand here. And in my heart, I don't forgive any of you from the way that you talk about me and my wife behind my back. And I just remember everyone being shocked and then him walking out of the church. And that's the last time we really went to the church. And after that, I just went to a church camp, and that was the bad experience. But it was never a positive experience, and especially the way that it affected my mother and one of my best friends at the time, that she went to another church camp, came back, and she was a completely different person and said the same stuff about everything that I did was evil. And this is evil, that's evil. You shouldn't dress like that. And I was like, okay, goodbye, get out of here.
Wow. So I'm going to just let you flow with the rest of the story now. Your family are pretty much uprooted out of the church. What began to happen to you as a person?
Okay, my dad, who first of all, he left the family, and it started with Dad used to look down on women that looked a certain way, dressed a certain way, didn't wax their body hair. And after a huge argument and they split, Dad went overseas, and next minute church people are gossiping that he left to be with another woman. And then I saw the photos, and this woman was everything that he had told that was disgusting in a woman, with the slutty outfits and the body hair and even posing in lingerie, and just thinking, hang on, Mum's better looking than her, and you told us these type of women were trash and not appreciated and respected by men, and you've gone over there and you've left your family to be with her. And wow, this is meant to be a man of God who stood out the front of the church and preached and was telling women what they should be. And that was kind of the first, that was like, no, first strike with a church for me.
How old were you at that time?
I was in my teens.
Okay.
Early teens, and still in high school. And Dad had left, faked a suicide, first of all, left a letter, and then, when the police picked him up, he said that, sorry, I can't. Oh, yes.
He faked a suicide? I don't understand that. Sorry.
He left a suicide letter to say that he was going to kill himself. He just was not happy anymore. And when the police picked him up, he was from Perth. He had driven all the way to Darwin, and they found him in his car. So he spent some time in hospital, and that's when my parents kind of decided it's best if he goes, because saying that he was unhappy and unhappy with his life, and then to find out soon after he's with another woman, and they'd known each other prior. So it kind of wow, this man went to such great lengths to be with this woman that he said a cheap and tarty, and she was young. I get it, she's young, but that's all she had was her youth. But everything else was what he told us we shouldn't be. And it was very okay, this is a man of God. All right. Also a friend that I'd met through the church, a girl who we had so much in common. We were both doing the Saturday morning modeling classes, and she was beautiful. And then she went to a church camp, and we used to sit there. We used to talk about boys and stuff. She came back transformed into a different person. I'm not sure if it was religious psychosis or something. She was rubbing pepper and that onto her face until it blistered. And I looked at her the first time, I'm thinking, what happened to you? She said that one of the people at the church, one of the leaders, told her that beauty was something from the devil to entice men away from God. And her beauty was so distracting. And the only way she was going to meet a man who respected her is if she just, that was her bright idea, to go scrub her face like that. And I said, are you crazy? And I said, what about these plans that you and I were going to be these top models one day? She goes, no, I don't want to be a famous woman that's going to be shallow. And no, I want to meet a good man of God. And her and I had a big argument that day. And I just said, you've lost your mind. You've seasoned your face. And where does it say that in the Bible? And I just walked out. And yeah, that was the next strike that I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done with religion. I'm done with that church camp that we're telling us off every 2 seconds. And I decided if people are going to tell me that I am evil, if people are going to leave their wife and children for these cheap women, I'm going to go be with the sinners where at least I'm accepted, because I'm not good enough for these Christians. Everything I do is wrong and evil and this and that. And my home life was not any better at the time. I did grow up with a lot of abuse. I grew up with a lot of domestic violence, which was mostly at the hand of my sibling. And it was first convincing my parents that I didn't need my glasses like earlier. I'm not wearing them now. I don't need them. I'm up close. But I blind without them, basically. So she had convinced my parents I lied about my eyesight because I was too lazy to do my schoolwork. So no, despite what teachers and the eye doctor said, they believed her word. And mind you, she was a teenager at the time and no glasses, can't see, and my schoolwork suffered as a result. And as a result of not being able to do schoolwork and getting very, very bad grades, I was beaten, both by my mum and then my sister, the abuse, the teasing, the putting down, the you're dumb, you're this, you're that, and also the bullying at school because, mind you, this is Australia, and my sister also went to that school. So these people got some great material to bully me about. And yeah, it was a horrible, my teen years were absolutely a nightmare. And I think a lot of my trauma from those times are worse than what I endured in the industry, believe it or not. When I think back to trauma, I think back to these times when I'm growing up and just believing these horrible things that are being said about me. My sister saying, you're ugly, you're this. When I was your age, I had so many boyfriends and no guy at school likes you. And at least I can do my schoolwork. You've got nothing. And yeah, like
Wow.
I had it.
Your sister is saying this to you. Wow.
My
So
sister
sad.
was my first and my longest bully. And
And you're the same mom and the same dad.
yes,
Wow.
yep.
Wow.
As long as I can remember, it was my first bully, and it didn't end throughout my whole life. So it was, even I was convinced that, okay, maybe it's not the glasses. Maybe I am really dumb. Maybe you kind of accept that, okay, people are telling you that you're lazy and you're dumb and you're dyslexic, you've got a learning disorder. And one counselor said to me, you've got a lazy brain, is what they diagnosed it as. I'd never heard of this in my whole life. A lazy brain, you're just lazy. And you kind of accept it. You get dread when those school reports come because you know you're going to get those beatings and you're going to be put down and screamed at and screamed at. And yeah, school, when my mum eventually said to me that I should leave school, which was, I never got to finish school, I was like, yeah, I'm so done with school. I also in that time had a very toxic boyfriend. My first boyfriend, I didn't want a boyfriend, mind you. I only got a boyfriend because I thought that's what you needed, because everyone has a boyfriend and I'm being teased for never having one. So I had one. Biggest regret. He tried to push me into things that I didn't want to do. And when I couldn't do it, he just get out. And this boy, mind you, already had an addiction to porn, which was, yeah, everything he learned was from porn, and he thought porn was real life. Like he made me watch my first porn and I was disgusted when I saw it. Like, are we meant to be seeing this? Like, it made me sick. It was the first time I'd really seen in detail how sex was performed. And he kept like it was a documentary to him of how a woman should behave. And every time he'd stop and he'd pause, he'd say, see that, yep, what she's saying, the guy cheats on her because she doesn't have sex with him. Yep, see? And then afterwards he said to me, so which parts of that turned you on? And I said, none of it. Yuck. And he said, well, you're not trying hard enough. Still to this day, yuck.
How old were you at that time?
Oh, 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So at this point, you are out of school, your first boyfriend, and he's
Oh, sorry. That's just before I left school.
right
So
before
I
you
left
left.
school.
Okay.
Yeah, that was also when we broke up. He tried to dump me for a girl who had a reputation at school, and she, to his face, said, excuse me, no thanks. And yeah, I was very upset because even though I never had sex with him, I did other stuff to try to make him happy, and I felt used and abused and discarded the first time, and I tried to kill myself the first time. And that's when my parents, my mum said, okay, you need to go see a counselor. They put me on antidepressants the first time instead of just talking me through, like, okay, this is what happens after a breakup and it's understandable you feel that way. Straight to the pills. And
Wow.
mum said, you should probably go into modeling. Modeling's going to kind of boost your self-esteem.
Mm,
Huge mistake.
of course.
No, don't get me wrong. I love the Saturday morning modeling classes because it was with girls my own age and there was no teasing. There was nothing. We used to practice catwalk and then etiquette lessons. I love those. Great memories from those. And then we'd all go out shopping afterwards and hang around the city and enjoy all the attention from the boys. But going into the actual modeling part, my goodness, you're being told you're not tall enough, you're not thin enough, you're not young enough. So, mind you, 17 years old, being told I'm too old to go stand in a bikini at a car show. And just
What?
thinking
Hold on.
back, yeah,
You were only 17 years old and they were already telling you in modeling that you're already too old.
yes.
What?
And a lot of these jobs were nightclub, fashion shows, standing at a car show wearing a bikini, a leopard print bikini, by mind you. And they said, sorry, you're too old for this one. They want someone a lot younger. And looking back, I'm thinking, okay, no. And lingerie jobs. And a lot of those girls you were seeing in these catalogs were like 12, 13, 14. And
Oh
at the
my
time,
goodness.
you think it's normal. You think, okay, I must be very mature because I looked a lot older for my age. And looking back now, that was creepy. Very,
Of
very
course.
creepy.
Of course.
So finding going through even though I was booking jobs, mind you, I was booking some jobs, but still being told you're too fat. And when I'm looking back at these photos now of myself back then, I was tiny, just tiny, tiny little twig of a girl. And I felt in my head that if I lost weight, if I got to that perfect size, all my problems would be solved. All that's standing in between me and happiness is like 5 to 10 kilos. And try to lose that weight. Even my mother is telling me, you've got to lose that weight off your thighs. The biggest mistake I ever made was going to get liposuction. Like to this day, I still regret it because I look at these bodies now that girls are paying money to get those thighs and those hips. And I was so ashamed of them. I paid money I earned off a commercial instead of saving it to go to the plastic surgeon and get liposuction to get my thighs made smaller. So don't do it, girls. Don't do it. Not worth it.
Oh.
And around that time, I met a very, very toxic guy that made the last guy look tame. And he worked as a receptionist at one of the modeling agencies I was at. And my goodness, this guy gave me the first trauma just as bad as what I went through in my teens, in my high school years. It was my first abusive relationship, like extremely abusive. And he knew my insecurities because he worked at that agency and he heard what they would say about me. So he would use this to like manipulate and make me feel bad about myself. And he himself couldn't make it as a model. He had a debt with the agency. So this guy, mind you, was shorter than me, but he tried to convince me that he was taller than me and he was such a sought after man and he was the son of a multimillionaire. This guy came up to here on me and he would wear stacked shoes and he drew his eyebrows on. And then he also said that he was a lawyer and he was the son of a tycoon. This guy was on another planet. And I tried so many times to break up with him. Police got involved, everything, but he would just walk straight back. And mind you, even restraining orders didn't help. And by then, my mum had moved to Sydney and she was trying to start a business there. And this guy, he loved making me feel like garbage. Like he would talk about all these hot models and women that were just all over him. Never saw it in my life. But he would like compare the body of me to the body of another girl. So then he took me to my first strip club. And I didn't want to go in there. I thought that a strip club was what we saw in the movies, you know, those girls that look like junkies and really sad and I thought I can't go and see that.
There's something particularly ratchet, yeah.
Yeah, this is what I'm imagining, strung out junkies on a stage. And I thought, I don't want to see that. And he said, no, yeah, come in and see it. And yeah, dragging me in there. And I remember just stopping at the door and my mouth was on the floor because these girls were gorgeous. And I've never, even in the modeling industry, seen women this beautiful. And I thought they only existed in Baywatch. I thought they only existed in music videos. They were beautiful. And especially in Perth, which was a small town, we never saw women like this. Like, where did they come from? Did they just magically appear? And even like I modeled with some of the most beautiful girls, and none of them compared to what I'd seen on that stage that day. And he, like, I had completely ignored him. I saw that people were tipping, and we have in Australia, it's called tipping dollars that we buy, and they give like notes, that club money. So I just, looking at the stage, buying club notes so I could sit near the stage and tipping the girls and go, oh my goodness, you're gorgeous. You're gorgeous. You're so beautiful. These bodies were the bodies that I wanted. This confidence was the confidence I wanted, that I like, wow, how do I get this? And then a girl came on stage that looked about the same age as me, and she looked the way that I wanted to look. And like, wow, imagine Tyra Banks and Pamela Anderson fused together to create one person. And this was what I wanted to be. And her name was Sapphire. And my goodness, jaw dropped on the floor. And I kept saying, you are so beautiful. You're so beautiful. And then she kept saying, oh, you're not so bad yourself. And there's me blushing. And then my boyfriend at the time saw that I was not intimidated. I was not scared. I was not feeling bad about myself. I was having the time of my life and chatting to the girls. He said, I'm taking Sapphire for a lap dance. And then as he was taking her into the room, she turned around, she pulled away from him. She said, excuse me, take your girlfriend too. Don't be so rude. So the two of us were sitting in the private booth where the girl does the lap dance. Mind you, she's not touching him at all. And she's doing her thing, she's dancing, and then he would pay her compliments like, look at those legs, those thighs, look at, oh, that body, I bet you wish you had a body like that. And then she would redirect the compliment to me and said, but look at your girlfriend's body, wow, yeah. And he saw that this was a bit of sisterhood happening here. These girls are not jealous, they're not fighting over me, they're actually, he did not like that at all. So he went to go kind of flick or untwist her G-string. He did something to a G-string that just, she lost it, and then she slapped him square in the face. That I think he's never had a woman hit him like that. He was dragged out by security, and she said, chuck him out, chuck him out. He touched, there's no touching here. And as I walked after him, she grabbed me by the arm and said, what are you doing with a loser like that? And I said, he's my boyfriend. And she goes, you can do better than that. Come work here. And you don't have to go out with losers. Like, you can rob them. You can steal their wallets. Like, she referred to it as raping their wallets. Like, you can break their heart and rape their wallets. And I said to her, like, I am not, are you kidding me? You're joking, because I'm not pretty enough to work here. I'm not sexy enough. I don't have the confidence to go on stage and be naked. She goes, what are you talking about? You are good enough to be here. You're more than good enough. And that was like a light bulb moment in my head. Like, are you serious? You, the most beautiful woman I've seen, told me that I am good enough to stand here on stage with you. And that was what I needed to hear. Like, my goodness, that point in, like, right message, wrong messenger kind of moment. And I thought, well, she thinks that I'm good enough to work here with her on stage as the way that I am, thinking that I have the worst body in the world. And as I was driving home, all I could think was her telling me that I was good enough. And he was in the car, of course, fuming at the whole situation. And then I said to him, she told me that I could work there. And he goes, yes, because you look like a slut. And I said, I don't care. I would rather be a slut than your girlfriend, to be honest. And I never had sex with him, but that was his favorite word for me. And it took me 2 restraining orders to get away from that guy. And mind you, the laws back then in the 90s with stalking and harassing were not like they are today. The police ended up telling me, listen to your mum and go move interstate, because we're here every single day trying to drag this guy away from your house. And that's when I thought, okay, enough is enough. And packed up the cats, said goodbye to the house, and moved to Sydney. And but what was playing in my head was, I should be a stripper.
That stuff she said. Before you continue, I wanted to kind of share with our audience. Of course, as you see the progression of Tessa's story, I usually tell our audience that a lot of things out there is evangelism, whether it's content, whether it's social media pages,
Mhm.
whatever is out there, is evangelism either for light or darkness. And you see how the enemy is setting up Tessa, like slowly drawing her in with the whole like you are not good enough, you are not this, and then meeting a girl at a strip club, and then the girl is now telling you you are good enough to come and work here. And of course, we know what's gonna happen in the next chapter. It's all evangelism. But please continue.
No, yeah, it's true. The enemy does groom us, and it does know who to prey on, especially young girls, beautiful young girls that feel their only value is that their currency is in their looks. Because I felt like, well, yeah, that's
Mhm.
all I have. I'm not very smart. Yeah, so I have these looks, and that's all I have. And I was still modeling at the time. I moved to
Mm,
Sydney. I was modeling. I was doing good in that. It wasn't enough for me. They make me feel so ugly in
mm.
modeling, and fashion magazines make you feel ugly. I wouldn't recommend anyone read a fashion magazine, but men's magazines made me feel good about myself. The
Yeah.
way they were describing women which had
They
similar bodies
sexualize
to me.
because they
Yeah,
sexualize you now. In modeling, you're not good enough because it's
yeah,
like, oh, we're gonna talk about beauty standard, and then in the men magazine, it's all about sexuality, which
yeah.
either way is pulling you into darkness. But
It
we-
is. It knows how to groom you. And honestly, I would buy men's magazines and I would see women who had almost a similar body to me and the praise that they're getting in there. And then a women's fashion magazine would be telling me how I could lose weight for a person who's has a body like mine and legs like mine. And it was
Mm,
okay, that industry is making me feel good about myself. And when I got my first big check from a commercial that I did, I decided to go buy breast implants. And I thought that's what I needed to be on stage because I did not like my chest at all. And I wanted to look as Baywatch as I could. So I went to, yeah, they told me at the modeling industry, you get that and you'll never work again. And I said, I don't ever want to work again. It's
mm,
not about the money
mm.
because, yeah, I just wanted to be
Wow.
there. I wanted to be on stage. I went to strip clubs after that as a customer, and I would talk to the girls, and I'd just be admiring them on stage, thinking this confidence. It wasn't even about the money. It was about how they looked, their confidence. And when I got my breast done, I told my mum what I wanted to do for work, and her and I had a huge argument. And she said, "No man's going to respect you. No man's going to want to marry you." And I said, "I don't care. At this point, I've had so many bad experiences with men. It's just not even about that." But around that time, when I just first started, I met a man who became my husband, and he supported those dreams. And he said that in his country of Finland, that it's a normal thing to nudity is a normal thing, and it's a job, and was kind of like supporting me. And even my mum said to him, "What kind of man wants his wife stripping on stage and dancing naked on men?" And he goes, "Oh, it's a job at the end of the day," which should have been the first red flag.
Red flag. Did you meet
Yeah,
him at the strip club?
no, I met him
Okay.
through a friend at a party.
Okay. Okay.
And
Of course,
he,
big red flag, of course.
first big red flag, and he was just this quiet, nerdy looking guy that looked like Harry Potter. So he wasn't like some big go out party guy. And he always encouraged me going to the clubs that day. When I went to my first strip club, I was told to go home because I didn't want to go on stage. I didn't want to do private shows. Every guy that asked me how much for a private show or when I was called to go on stage, I'd go, no, no, not really. I can't do it. No, please, please go to the next girl. And the owner just said to me, "Come on, Missy, stand here. If you work here, you got to dance. You got to go dance in the private show. You cannot tell all the customers, don't take me for a show. Should be saying the opposite. You should be going up to them and asking them." And he said, "Come back when you're ready." And I said, "I promise I can do it." He said, "No, come back when you're ready." So it was who was my fiance at the time. He was saying, "No, oh no, you got to yeah, do it," giving me this pep talk and everything. And I was back there the next day, and one of the girls said to me, "Come on stage with me, focus on what I'm doing." And then, yeah, the two of us danced together, and then I was off on my own, and it was just easy after that. And
Wow.
I stayed there for a few years, and it was not the sisterhood that I expected. Oh, a
Of
lot of
course
these
not.
girls, are on another level of pick me. These women would side with abusers if it meant they would be getting money. They would turn a blind eye if they saw another girl being abused in the club. They would tell me off for stuff that I was doing in the club, but then they'd be going home with a customer. Like they'd be doing stuff for extra money under the table. Like these same girls. And I swear the biggest pick-me's I've ever met. And for those who don't know what a pick-me is, that's a woman who do anything for male validation. Even, anything for male validation and money. They were there in the club. It was just a big hotspot for them, and they would stab you in the back if it meant getting money or even some validation from the guy. If the guy's mocking you on stage, they'd be giggling next to him. And over time, I learned to not take the garbage, not take the bullying. And I'd be the one being a bully. I'd be cornering the girl in the locker room afterwards and saying, you knew that customer 5 minutes, but you got to spend the rest of the night dealing with me. And I would be the bully after that. And it's how you learn very quickly in strip clubs. Do not put up with any garbage because they're vultures. If they sense weakness, if they sense sensitivity, or even if you're naive, you get pecked to death by customers, by the girls especially. So I learned very quickly where that confidence comes from. You've got to build a thick skin overnight. My goodness, there's times that I used to leave crying and I just thought, no, I've got to stand up to these girls. And my goodness, when I stood up to them, when they want to intimidate me, I had to right back, intimidate them, saying, let's go. Yeah. And that's when you realize, okay. And because of that, I was never mean to a new girl because I knew what it was like to be the new girl. So I kind of used to, you're safe with me. It's fine.
Usually the new girl at the strip club, they are nicer because the enemy is trying to use them to woo you in.
Yes.
To get you to start. And then when you now start dancing and you join them, then you realize how dangerous the whole thing is. You can be set up. You can even be harmed. I don't want to use, you can become unalive if a customer, what you call it, stalk you. You're being stalked by a customer. They can unalive you. Very, very dangerous. I can relate to you with you because I've had that experience of being in a strip club or working at a stripper, and it's a very dangerous job. Of course, a lot of drug dealers and pimping. Of course, but at the beginning, they are so nice because the enemy is using them to try to reel you in. Like, oh, we love you. You can come and join us. You will be so good.
Oh no! Off the back, the girls were mean because the new girl is competition.
Oh yeah, but, you're the fresh meat, and the men want the fresh meat.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So. And how I learnt about how pimps work in clubs, that girls got to be so careful about. A pimp will never approach you himself. He has his own girls that go into the clubs, who work in the clubs. And usually the girls flex all the expensive stuff, their expensive car, their handbags, and how much they make, to reel that one in to work for the pimp. And it was happening. I'd seen it happening so many times. I'd warn girls, stay away from that one that comes into the club. You think she looks like Barbie with her long blonde hair and beautiful car and her gorgeous boyfriend. And next minute, they're in that lifestyle and hooked onto drugs. I remember comforting a girl in the club that said she earned a lot of money while she was escorting and they stole everything from her. And it was happening very, so very much.
Bad. And we will pick up with your story, but I wanted to insert this because I know somebody will learn from this. I remember when I was there, one of my best friends, because she was the one that introduced me to the strip club. Then she came, not the pimp himself, but the girl came and she's like, you know what? It's good to have a man that look out for you while you work in this place. And I was like, okay. They'll protect you. They'll make sure you're okay. You go home safely and everything. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, oh, and they manage your money for you. Basically, all the money that she makes, she give it to this man and he spend it and tell her what to do with her money.
Okay.
And I asked her and I say, why will I want to give my money to someone else? Like, I know what I want to do with my money. A lot of these girls are so brainwashed that are working in the strip club, and then they give all their money to the pimp, and he controls their life, and he introduced them to drug, and he basically make them very dependent on him. Very, very terrible lifestyle. Please continue.
Yes. Yeah, I did not need a pimp. I had a husband at home who would ask for 50-50 of everything. I know some people have the 50-50 relationships, but
Mm.
every single thing was half. It had half the bills, half the rent, half this, half that. And later down the line, when it became harder to make money, or when I first got sick because I had an ovarian cyst, and he had to cover the bills for those couple of weeks so I couldn't dance, he asked for that money back, constantly chasing me up like a debt collector. I had to pay all that money back. And later on, it became harder to make money at the clubs. Like I was also a feature showgirl because I did magazines and stuff. And I did a lot of showgirl work. But in the actual clubs itself, it became very, very hard to make money. So I would sometimes I'd just go home for $50 because a lot of the clubs in Sydney were closing down because they had the Sydney lockdown laws that clubs had to close at every club had to close at 2 a.m., which is when the clubs are getting started pretty much. And
Mm.
it was getting impossible to make money. And he would, if I didn't have money for enough for the groceries, I went without food. He thought that was fair. And because if I would only just manage to scrape enough together for the rent and the bills that week, and I had a cat at the time. I've had cats my whole life, and I still have a cat now. And I would have to, if I didn't eat, the cat didn't eat because the cat was technically mine. So I was sharing cans of tuna with the cat. So imagine, yeah, having to buy 99-cent cans of tuna and sharing it with my cat. And I'm thinking, I'm living in poverty pretty much. And I told
And
him
this
as
is
well,
somebody that is supposed to be your husband, and he say he loves you.
yes,
Wow.
very much. And I also wanted to leave the industry at the time and have a baby. I was ready. I'm like, this is what we spoke about. Like you said, that I don't have to dance for a little while. And then when your business takes off with your chef business and with your sound recording business, you'll be able to support a family. But I'm waiting, like it's nearly 5 years. So then he kept making excuses because it went from, yeah, these were the plans to after we were married, excuse, excuse, excuse. And that's when it was just impossible. I could not fall pregnant. And then I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, okay, we can help two of you out. We can just start with an artificial insemination. If we have to go to IVF, we'll go there. And the day before this appointment, like, I'm so excited. I'm like, wow, this is it. This is it. And I left work early and he knew that I was coming home early as well. So there was no excuse. And as soon as I got home, something felt off in the house. And I went to the sink, and I found he's not allowed to drink alcohol in the house. I don't drink alcohol at all. So he's not allowed to drink in the house because he had a problem with it. I find 2 wine glasses in the sink, and one of them has big purple smeared lipstick. I'm like bright purple tarty lipstick. And I knew straight away there was a woman in the house. And I went to go wake him up, and I was fuming. And I said, who was in the house? And yeah, he's like trying to cover his tracks. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was a friend. And I said, you better tell me right now who the girl was who was in the house. No, I'm not stupid. And then he said, oh, no, it's just one of the girls that work at the pub who's a friend of ours. And yeah. And I said, okay, I know who that girl is. Tomorrow, I'm going to go there. I'm going to hold her down. My friend Sky is going to hold her down, actually. I'm going to shave her head. And if you're lying, an innocent woman is going to have a bald head. So you better tell me right now who you had in the house. And then he admitted, he gave me the phone number of the girl who was really in the house. And so, yeah, I called the girl. She sounded very young. And she said she met him in the smoking section of the pub, invited him back to the house for sex. And that, of course, he was a stingy guy, but he was buying the drinks for her, which I thought, okay, wow, you never used to do that for me. I had to buy my own drinks. And yeah, so he brought her back to the house, but she said something felt off in the house, really off. She couldn't tell what it was. And she just, yeah, stood up and walked out. And yeah, she said nothing happened. I promise you nothing happened between us because, yeah, I walked out. Something just did not feel right. Like she saw dishes in the sink that was too much for one person, and she saw bright pink cat furniture, which only a woman would have there. So she did feel like a woman must live here. So when I came home, I caught him that he was planning on cheating that night. I would have walked in on him having sex with another woman, knowing full well that he had this appointment with me the next day. So he must have really been going out of his way to avoid this appointment. And yeah, every time I tried to remake the appointment, there was an argument. Like the two of us fought so much, I was going to break up with him then. But then I decided, okay, we'll give it another go. And he said that big mistake, never forgive those people. He said he's going to stop drinking, go to counseling. He went to 2 counseling sessions for alcohol and stopped going. And him and I started arguing again, but I even said to the doctor, I'm happy to do artificial insemination with another man. And he said, no, don't do it. Try to work things out with your husband. So one day his best friend calls me up, and I've only I met his best friend a handful of times in Finland, and we kept in contact on Facebook. It was not like conversations, just like nice photo, say hi to your husband. And he said, I need to talk to you. Just can I call you? And he said to me, I need to tell you this. He said, Tessa, I've met you a few times. I think you're a great person, but you need to know that he had a vasectomy while he was here in Finland. And he did this behind your back, and he told me about it. And he was also cheating on you with a girl at work. And when I confronted him about it, because he seemed so proud of himself, and he said to him, your wife is more beautiful than that woman. Like, what the hell? And he said, well, Tessa can't go anywhere. She's trapped. Because around that time, my ID went missing. Because when I wanted to start a family, and in Australia, we need our IDs for everything. To get a job, to get on welfare if we don't have a job, to buy a house, to move into a house, to rent, to study, we need that ID. And that mysteriously went missing around that time that I wanted a baby. And everything clicked. I was trapped, and he was using me to fund his Australian dream. And he had no plans of wanting a family with me whatsoever. And I confronted him about it. And I said, your friend told me this, and your friend was sincere, and your friend was not drunk. Your friend told me that. And he tried calling his friend about it. And I said, no, I believe your friend 100%. I don't believe your friend was lying. And I said, we need to divorce. There's no way. The meal ticket ends here. I'm only paying half the rent and bills. Everything else, no. It's but he refused to move out. And
For the sake of my audience, because I'm still shocked about the vasectomy. Could you tell? I know some of my audience are aware of it, but not everybody. Can you tell my audience what that is? Because that was the part that I'm still hung on. Like, what?
It's like he's unable to have children.
Father children.
Father children, yeah. He's it's also called the snip. The tube's in there. I don't know how it's done technically, but it's a very quick procedure, quick daytime. You can get it done in your lunch break, according to most of the men that I've spoken to that have it done, that you can't father children at all. So he had no intention of wanting to have children with me. He did it while he was on his holiday there. And this guy,
and he was already married. He was already married to you when he went and did that. So it wasn't like he had it before he met you. That is so deceptive. The word
very, very deceptive.
It's tough.
And I'm thinking, I can't move out because I don't have ID. What do I do? I felt so trapped. And I'm not making a lot at the strip club. And all I remember seeing my friends who had left stripping were escorts now. And they're online flexing their jet set lifestyle, their handbags. And I'm thinking, this is that's more money than I need right now. But I just need money to survive and to get away from this guy, to get this guy out of my life. So I told him, I even said to him that I'm going to go be an escort. Like, I don't care that I'm married. And he said, you got to do what you got to do. And I thought, okay, you're right. I have to do what I have to do. So I called up an escort service, a high-class escort service, And I sent some photos in, and that week they sent me on my first job. And I went to this beautiful, I walked there, mind the way, I had 40 cents in my pocket. And I walked there and I stood outside of this hotel, just looking up at this beautiful hotel, saying, I'm going to leave this place a prostitute, so I better get used to it. So I went in there. In stripping, you snap into show mode and you're like, yes. Walked in there confident, met the guy in the lobby, and yeah, it's not the man that I want touching me.
Wow.
I remember seeing him just being, okay. And I just got to suck it up, get in there, do the job. Had sex with him. Afterwards, he said to me, you can have the hotel room for the night. Said, yeah, that's fine. I sat in the bathtub and I kept saying to myself, snap out of it, Tessa, this is your life now. This is what's going to save you. You see, I had to scroll and see friends escorting and saying, look how happy they are. This is your life now. You got nothing else. So I called up a friend, a male friend who was also a stripper at the time. I had a lot of friends in the stripping industry. And I told him, come over. And I said, let's just hang out. I got this hotel room for the whole night. And he said to me, why are you here? What's happening? And I said that I'm escorting. I told him, this is my first job. I want to have sex with you because I want the memory of this man off my body right now. So after I slept with him, he said to me, why don't you, because he knew the problems I was having with my husband, how he was, even certain photographs that I was doing that were explicit, he didn't like if it was interactive with another woman or with another man. And he said, why don't you do porn? It would really drive him nuts and it would get him out of the house because the guy is making your life hell. Every time we talk, you're saying how he's shoved the cat off the table and he nearly hurt the cat. And he's just upset you before work and put you into a state that you're crying so much going to work. Do this, I guarantee you, it would be the humiliation that would drive him away. And that's what I did.
Just oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry, dear. So sorry. You know. Whew, I just want us to, because my brain is going like the devil is wicked.
Yes.
I don't know if my audience can see is it a drop? Like going down the drain?
Yes.
Modeling, strip club, escort.
No, strip club magazines, escort, yeah, men's
so
magazines.
It's like we're going down the drain. And each one, he will bring another person into your life to take you down to the next lower level.
Yeah.
And then he'll bring another man into your life to so you're just going down. And I hope the audience can see the wickedness of the enemy. I want to quote Justina. She was on the show last month and she was like, she said she was so glad that Jesus saved her at the point that Jesus did, because she's like, I don't know how worse. I don't know how much more I could sink. So as you're sharing your story, I'm seeing the sink, just like every one of us. We're just sinking and sinking until Jesus. Oh my goodness.
Just remember that
wicked.
Ground Zero has a basement and that basement has a trapdoor. Trust me, you can always sink a lot lower. And it was it was like a light bulb moment. I'm thinking I'm already escorting. Like when I got home, I threw half the money in his lap to cover the rent and the bills for the next few weeks and just went straight to bed. Like, if you're okay seeing that your wife just went out to have sex with someone for money and you're fine with it, that brought a whole new rage inside of me. I was kind of hoping deep down that he was going to say, no, don't you dare do that. No, wife of mine is doing that. But no, he just sat there. Got to do what you got to do. So I kind of rubbed it in his face. And, I'm going to go see this client now. And, I'm so sore from sex today. Oh, my goodness. And he was...
doesn't
care. So it kind of brought a whole new rage in me. And I thought, okay, I should do a porn. And I got friends in that industry because, stripping, a lot of people are doing porn. And I contacted one of the guys there that does videos. And I said, I'm just interested in doing one. Doesn't have to be a big one, just one I need to do. And I told him the situation with my husband. Actually, he knew already because I vented to a lot of people about it. So I went to do my first video. I went to Melbourne and did my first video. And my goodness, it was, can I tell you that shooting porn is boring? I would can't say that it's traumatic.
because you're faking everything. It's
Oh,
entertainment. It's not real, but
men
the
basing their life and their performance on what is basically a staged movie. You might as well compare your life to, I don't know, Star Wars and its special effects. It is the
right.
most boring thing I have ever.
It's fake.
And a
Hmm.
photo shoot in modeling was actually more exciting than doing these
Mm,
positions. I'm not a
mm,
even though I was a dancer, I'm not that flexible. So you got someone pulling my leg off to the side, and these positions are only there so the camera can
get
see.
you.
These positions are not any beneficial to a human being. And it's only made so the camera can see what is happening. And I don't know why men are making their girlfriends and their wives do this stuff when it's not,
Mhm.
it's
It's
only
not
made
real.
for show. Yeah,
Yeah.
and when I tell you that cameraman was hanging off the guy at one stage trying to film, the ridiculousness of it. And then they yell, cut, stop, fix her hair, fix her makeup, go again, stand. It's like, what the hell is going? And I just thought it was ridiculous. And my acting was even worse than that because I just saw the ridiculousness of this situation. And
Mm,
then afterwards, we get paid in cash. Oh, we get tested before that. We have to do our blood tests and that. But and afterwards, we get paid in cash. And I thought, okay, that was the most ridiculous thing I ever encountered. I even said to the guy, "What the hell was that?" Like we couldn't stop laughing about it afterwards.
mm,
And yeah, then I went home and I wasn't quiet about the fact that I did this video. I teased online that I was going to do it coming soon, and I had a few behind the scenes. And I know that my sister-in-law was the biggest busybody, and she was watching my social media. She would report to him everything. He wasn't on social media at all, so she was the mouthpiece. And I even put some of the snippets online when it came out. I'm like, finally, it's here. And then I
wow.
had to just wait for him, for his reaction. And then I wasn't disappointed because I remember one morning he came home and he said which was the name I was going under, Contessa Doll. And I got
Mhm.
up out of bed very groggy. I was like, what? He goes, Contessa Doll, you're a porn star now. And I said, yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes, you know. And he said, I'm leaving you. And I was like, finally. And I started
Mm,
dancing around the room and I was so happy. And I said,
mhm.
just thinking, finally, this is what it's taken for him to leave and to move out. And he said to me, you know what? How long have we been married? I said, 10 years. And he said, guess how long I've been cheating on you for all that time? And I said, I do not care. I just
Oh,
want you out of this house and out of this life. I was counting down the days until he had moved out. He was trying to make every single day hell. I just wanted him out of the house.
10
That was
years.
the
Wow.
and he finally
Mm,
left. The freedom I felt was like, wow. I could even
mm.
see videos that I made of myself that time. I looked so happy, and that even though I was doing this escorting job,
Doing
that
this
I
self-destructive stuff to get him out of the house.
yeah, that felt like at the time a small price to pay, but escorting
Mm,
was just not for me. The porn was not for me. I did a few other videos after that, but those videos were more advertising for the escorting, which I didn't like. But what I felt was my true calling deep inside was that BDSM because I did all during that time, that period of my life, even earlier. I had
mhm.
discovered the book of the Marquis de Sade, and I'm not sure if the viewers or they call him the great grandfather of BDSM, and BDSM is bondage, domination, and sadomasochism, and that is the lowest, most. You can't go any
So,
lower and
so
violent
you,
and decrepit.
you are dropping lower, right? As in, we went from like I just need to do this so that my audience
Yeah.
went from modeling,
Mm.
strip club, escort, pornography, what you call it, porn, right?
Porn,
Porn,
yeah.
And now we're about to drop another level lower. So
Yeah, and I do believe in that time that's what the enemy was really, really grooming me for, because that was the industry I had the most influence on people. That he really used me for that industry, but it was like this slow kind of grooming. And the first time I read, when I first read about the Marquis Sade, I think I was just early stages of stripping. And first I saw a movie on this character, and then I thought, wow, he's not bad. And then I read about him in a book, and my goodness, I put that book down. I was disgusted. It was everything from the most violent sex acts of just brutality and harming people, and just stuff that I cannot repeat here online. The people who know, nothing was off limits with this man. And mind you, this is the 18th century. So imagine people would have been fainting reading this. Even by today's standards, his stuff is disgusting. But it's like a car wreck. You can't put it down. And then I would be reading it, but I would look at it as him. I was the Marquis de Sade doing this to these people. And these people were the people who hurt me. And these people I was whipping and brutalizing were the ex-boyfriends, the husbands, the men, my sister, everything. Everyone who hurt me were on the receiving end of these brute beatings and degradation, and especially when it came to the sexual part. And I'm imagining a man, not anyone I'd known, me brutalizing a man and getting excited like I've never been excited before. And just what intrigued me, and I thought, this can't be real. And then I realized, I went online, I found that it is real. There's a community of people around the world, and there's whole websites dedicated to it. And I just got more, I consumed more and more. And it was almost like the devil was listening. And one day I get a phone call.
He was directing your steps.
He
was directing. Yes.
Yeah, because I end up getting called. I was very rarely doing the feature showgirl work, but they needed a feature showgirl to appear at it was one of these BDSM nights. They happen every month on a full moon. It's called the Hellfire Club. And they needed a feature showgirl to do one of the shows. And I had this show called Blood Nurse, where I used to come out in a nurse's uniform, and next minute I'd be covered in blood in my white lingerie, just doing the strip. And they thought it was perfect for the thing that they had, which was kind of like a doctor nurse thing. And that's the first time I went to this club, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to see this for the first time. I'm so excited. I get to be inside this world. And it's almost like conveniently that he called me at the right time to go there. And I just looked around and I saw everyday people in these different sections of this place. That one section, they're being whipped, next they're foot worshipping, at another one another guy's being trampled to death, another guy's being held on a leash, another woman's in a cage being spat on and degraded and having horrible stuff.
Monique, oh my God.
Yeah, it was like, and occasionally you'd see a man in a suit just watching, observing. And there was just men on leashes, on the leash, being dragged around on all fours, women on the leashes, the subs and the doms. And I'm like, wow, I'm inside this world. And I was intrigued. I did the best show of my life there. They all cheered. And then I decided to hang around afterwards, which I never used to do with any other show, but I decided to hang around for a bit. And I had this guy came up to me, and he was like this middle-aged guy with bleach white hair wearing leather. And he was quite, the middle-aged, he reminded me of He-Man, a middle-aged, He-Man, the cartoon character.
Okay.
That used to swing the swords. Yeah. And he reminded me of one of those. And midlife crisis in leather. And he came up to me and he said, that's an interesting show. Like, do you have a blood fetish? And I said, no, of course not. The show is inspired by 80s slasher films. And he said, wow. And he said, what brought you into this world? And I said, well, I've always been interested. And him and I had a long conversation about the Marquis de Sade. He loved his works as well. And we used to quote certain parts to him, that life without sex without pain is like food without taste. And we used to quote these things back to him because, yeah, we were both into it. And he said, you should come back to my place sometime. I have my own dungeon. I can introduce you slowly to this life. And he said, before you can be take the dominatrix role, you're going to have to know what it's like to be on the receiving end. So there's me, zero zero survival skills, goes to this guy's house to get whipped. And you
Okay,
lived in
we're gonna
this.
slow down again.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is so dark. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I really, really hope my audience know what you are just going into,
Mm,
how the enemy is just you see, God does like his children, right?
yeah.
God guides his children, right?
Yes.
From righteousness to righteousness, and he just keep drawing us so that we can be more like Christ, right?
Yes.
The devil does the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
The devil does the same thing when you are not born again, when Christ is not in you. He also guides you from what you call it so that you can be more like him.
Yes.
I mean, look at the titles of the names of this show that you are verbalizing. Can you give us some of
Yeah.
those titles? So demonic. You know
And
what I mean?
people recently told me that the works of the Marquis de Sade is demonic. That
Of course.
it's a lot of the stuff that he was saying and quoting was just very demonic. And to me, it was
Look,
about self-love and empowerment. And yeah, the pain is going to make you stronger.
Tessa, when I wasn't born again and I ventured into those arena where they had like the husband and wife can come and meet with other husband and wife and do their thing, and then they drug. It was just, and I thank God he didn't allow me. It was just too dark. Even I
Mm,
wasn't born again, but I knew like, no, 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 I can't handle this. This is too dark. This was too dark. So it's incredible for me to be interviewing somebody that actually went there. And
mm,
my goodness, how do you sleep
yeah.
at night? Because
Fine
I
now.
know that the more you do, sex work, the more it becomes so normal.
Yeah, but I was on a lot of medication at the time. I was also
You were.
I was on antidepressants. I was on tranquilizers. I
Mhm.
was on the Zoloft antidepressants. Then I got prescribed Valium. Valium didn't work after a while. I got prescribed Xanax. And then when they didn't want to give me anymore, I got them illegally. And when I put on weight, on top of that, they gave me Duramine to keep my weight down. So I was on a chemical cocktail at the time.
So when you were going for all these drug, it was because you were trying to numb yourself.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Um, Going to this man's house for the first time. And yeah, he had this, what used to be a basement, I think it turned into like a dungeon. He had the equipment on the table and he was a professional Dom. He was a seasoned pro. He ran parties of his own, and him and his wife, who was not there, I think they had an open relationship. Like, don't quote me on that. But
Most of the
uh,
people involved in that lifestyle, they do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I've heard two different stories. That's why I will
Hmm.
never reveal his name. But he did have a wife that was heavily into that as well, and he took me down into the basement where he said, "I want you to try first of all what it's like to be a sub. Always remember you don't give what you can't take." So it was first
Quick
on the
question. What is the meaning of sub?
a sub is the person who receives it,
Receive
who
what?
receives the he's on the receiving end of the beating.
Okay,
There's a
okay. Because
dominant and the
now
submissive.
okay, we're in the world of a dominatrix, right? That's how it is
Yeah.
pronounced, right? Yeah. So they have the
Yes.
master and the slave.
Yes.
Okay. So the
A
sub is like,
dominant and a submissive. And
okay.
he had me tied pretty much face down onto the rack. And of course, I had nothing. I just had my underwear on. And he, started off slowly with it's called tenderizing the skin. So when you tenderize it, make it red, then whatever the whipping is going to do is going to hurt pretty badly. So he's like, okay, are you ready for it? Just say mercy if it's starting to hurt too much. He started with the first whip crack. Felt like someone had slashed my back open. And then he did it again and again. But to me, the pain, I was tempted almost to the first time to say stop, but then I realized it was the pain was relieving. I had so much pain inside of me that this pain was like an outlet. And he was doing it and just harder and harder and harder. And the memories were coming back of being beaten when I was younger, of being hit, of going through trauma in my life were just coming up. And as the pain was going down, it was disappearing. But I was strong. I felt strong in that moment because I wasn't saying mercy. And then he stopped. He was sweating there. He's like, oh, he said, are you okay? And I taunted him and I said, what's the matter? Am I wearing you out? And he goes, okay, challenge accepted. And he hit me harder and harder. And he said, listen, you're bleeding and I need to stop now. And yeah, afterwards he said to me that, wow, you can really take it. And I said, I actually, to be honest, I enjoy it. I enjoyed it more than I expected. He said, yeah, that's how we usually find out who is a pain slot. And yeah, and I told him that, my goodness, like, honestly, I would love to come back. And it did become a regular thing for us. I'd come back and then he would teach me different stuff, like he was training me. And then he would get me to do it on him. And he was into some heavy stuff. And there's still some stuff that I can't do. So I guess the I give as good as I get was not really a thing, because he taught me a lot of stuff what to do on him that I would never do myself. And one day he said to me, have you ever thought about becoming a dominatrix? And before he could even ask me, I was like, yes, I would love to. And then he said, I have a friend who has a private business. People come to her little terrace house and they need new girls because a lot of the women are getting older. Everyone's had them. And at the time, it was kind of a rare thing. And when I went to, he brought me the first time, I must have looked ridiculous in this wannabe dominatrix outfit. And the woman looked me up and down and said, no. And he said, please, she's one of my best students. She's great. You're going to love her. Let her show you what she can do. And like, the woman was hesitant. I think she only said yes because she owed him a favor. And I looked at the women who worked there and they looked like the witches from the Disney movies. They were all older. And I'm thinking, how did these women make money? Look at the way that they look. And it's not like the strip club where the girls are really beautiful. These are the Disney villains. First of all, no one wanted to book me because I wasn't like the other ones. And then I realized men want the older women because the older women were scary. They were intimidating. And no one's going to take direction from some little twerp. That they want these older, and the older you are in that industry, the more that they want you, because you've got the experience under you. You can put so much fear in those men. And it was where age is power in that industry. And that's the only thing that I liked about it. They respected those older women. But I did not look scary enough. So the only way I could kind of prove myself that I could get booked is that this one day, this customer came in and no one wanted to see him because he had disgusting fantasies. And I put my hand up and said, I'll do it. I'll do it. If they're not going to do it, I'll do it. And this man loved to watch snuff films. And I'm talking about, if you don't know what it is, it's videos of people being killed, real videos of people being killed and beheaded. And he wanted to watch it while he was getting brutal sex acts done on him. He would be on his stomach while he was getting objects shoved into him. And the women there said, it's disgusting. No, we can't watch that and do that to him. I said, I can do it. I can switch off. I can do it.
He brought the movies. He brought the movies. My goodness.
Yes. Woo. And he used to watch it there. And I don't know where he got these movies from, but I played along. I pretend the movie was so great. I'd say, oh, wow, that's hot. And then I would just be brooding with the anger and disgust in me, just destroying his back with the the sex toy. And afterwards he told we called her the headmistress. He told her that I was great. She's a nice lady. I want to come see her again. She's so good, like glowing reviews about how I just didn't judge him. And gave him a great service. And after that, word got around to the other guys that you should try this girl. She's great. And that's how I kind of learned. We learned on each other in the waiting room, the dominatrixes and the doms. We learned on each other in between sessions what to do, and we kind of taught each other. So I was getting these customers, and I was learning to indulge these sick fantasies because I learned that I could, because I don't look like these women, I looked more glamorous. I was dominatrix Barbie. That's why I called myself Contessa Doll, because, yeah, I was going to play up to the fact that I wasn't like them. And they would see this sweet, almost innocent, naive, and sometimes I would act like a bimbo, like completely dumb when I would meet, and then turn into a demon behind closed doors and give them a false sense of security. And it's what the fear that I put in them. And that's how it just made the session a lot more intense for them afterwards, because afterwards they'd be on adrenaline going, wow, that was incredible. And I knew how to put these men to make them not feel safe. Like they would be tied up, and I would say, for instance, one man would almost be suffocating. I'd know to take that mask if he's suffocating. And then, I would tell him, it's okay if you die. I know how to hide a dead body. And then just have this man go, yeah, that's before I ripped the mask off him.
That's what they like. That's why they're there. Because they want you to scare them in that way.
I learned that if you scare someone, before you tenderize the skin, because they're on high alert and scared, and everything I'm going to do is going to hurt twice as much, and you won't have a lot of marks on you. You're able to go back to your wife. You're able to go back to work. So already the adrenaline's going. So I would also act very dumb and then ask them, which one of these objects do you want shoved inside of you? And they would go the smallest, and I would grab the biggest off the wall and just pretend I forgot my glasses. And I'd just tell them, what do you mean, small for me or small for you? I'm confused. And then just as I'm about to approach them, I'd go, oh, sorry, the small one. Don't have my glasses on. And they would just make them feel very, very unsafe. And then, but afterwards, they're craving that feeling, that adrenaline feeling you get from pain afterwards was the only thing they came for. And I got very popular that way. And it's, I got the men that were as they call the pain slots, the men that wanted to be hurt and harmed and have things done to them, and they're able to go to work afterwards.
Question. Was it legal? Was it legal?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Some stuff is illegal, and they do draw the line, and I will also draw the line at bestiality and stuff like that. But if the guy had the fantasy, you can watch the video, and I'm not going to watch that. And I did, after a while, have to say no to certain things, because some of it was affecting me. And it just made me realize, when just talking to these men, how normal they are. Like, I hate saying this, but it's true. Stripping made me hate men. BDSM made me like men again, and see men as human beings, because after we would have this session, this man, the ego is down, the walls are down. It's a man and a woman talking to each other, afterwards healing each other. I'd be holding them in my arms while they're crying. It's called aftercare. And these men would be crying and telling me about everything going on in their life. It's showing me the real man. And I'm thinking, men and women can heal each other if we just get rid of this ego, stupid thing that's in the way of the two of us. This is why God made us. It's to survive, to keep humanity going. But this ego, this thing is just tearing us apart. And a lot of these men, we would talk, and I'd say, why are you doing this? Like, why are you into this? And they would admit that something had happened to them in their life. Like, a lot of guys, I'd dress up as a nun as well. A lot of them had religious trauma of the church, and I'd be making them read the Bible while I'm whipping the back of their legs and screaming, louder, louder, and saying exactly what was being said to me in the church. You're evil, you're disgusting, sit down. And there was even like a little room in that dungeon that looked like a church and looked like a schoolroom. So I'm able to play this nun character convincingly. And my nun name was Sister Fister, by the way. And
Sorry.
Sister Fister, as in fisting. Hopefully you beat that out. And because it's a popular service that men asked for.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't know what that was, but
Don't, don't look it up. And a lot of men, which surprised me, every second man wanted something inserted inside of himself, which shocked me. And it was a popular service that I had provided. I even had sex toys made of my certain body parts that were sold. And my most popular one was the one of my hands that was in a fist. And that one was the one that sold out. And when talking to these men, what got you to this? They had the trauma and they could not talk about it. They felt ashamed to go to a counselor, to a psychologist. And I remember one time I thought I was in big trouble because this big man who looked like a rugby player came in. And I thought, oh no, here we go. And then he sat down and I said, so what would you like to do? Have you been here before? He said, no. And I pointed to the equipment. I said, what would you like to try? And he said, he broke down crying. And he said he was sexually assaulted. And he was assaulted by another man a few weeks prior. This big, grown man, a big rugby player that you think could protect you. He said he got drunk while he was passed out. His friend had sodomized him. And he woke up, he said he was bleeding in the shower. He was crying, and he said, every time I think about the sexual assault, I get aroused and I'm disgusted at myself and I want to kill myself. And he said, maybe if I got a woman to do it, to reenact it, I wouldn't feel so bad about being aroused. And I said to him, listen, we're not going to do the session, we're going to talk. And I said, first of all, what happened to you was wrong. You need to go to press charges against this man. He said, no, I'm ashamed. I've lost my masculinity. I'm no longer a man. I'm nothing. And he said, when you walked in this room, I saw a man. I saw a masculine man. He did not rob you from that. And I said, do not reenact it at all. And what is happening to you is normal, because I know a lot of rape victims, male and female, whose bodies react that way when they think about the rape. And it's just your mind's way of protecting you from the trauma. Doesn't mean you like it or you want it. Trust me, don't do this. And just him saying that he can't tell anyone and he has to put on this facade that everything's okay. He has to. And it just made me realize men don't have an outlet for their emotions, so they were coming to see people like me to beat it out of them so they were able to cry. And it just made me think, wow, just these men have to act like they're made out of steel. They can't show their emotions. They can't cry with each other. If that happened to me in that situation, I'm at a counsel, I'm crying.
Right.
I'm able to speak about it and I will feel ashamed, but I'll be pressing charges. This man had to suck it up and live with that and just have the memory and the trauma and feeling emasculated and violated and not being able to do anything about it. So I thought, what I'm doing is I'm helping these people, is what I thought in my head, that I'm helping these people relive and live with the trauma, these men. And there was a special needs boy that I didn't know at the time was special needs. It was just a client that no one wanted to see, that everyone recommended that he should see me. And once he saw that I was quite well known, he agreed. And I was shocked when I saw him that he was special needs. He was in his 20s. He came dressed in his very smart little suit. He was looking forward to the session. And he told me what he wanted me to do and what he wanted me to say to him. And I just, had to reenact stuff that I could tell through the session had happened to him. And he was crying, he was naked, he was shaking on the floor, he's crying for his mummy. And then, sorry, it's a horrible memory. He was crying for his mum to come and save him. And I was tempted to stop. But in BDSM, you don't stop unless they say mercy. If you stop, and even then they say stop and you stop, they lose it at you. It's only mercy. And he knew the word mercy. And the stuff I was doing to him, he was reenacting this assault that I realized then this must have happened to him. And I was hitting him and he was cowering and just telling him the words that he told me to say to him because he had it all written down. This is why they didn't want to see him. And afterwards, he was in the shower and I helped him get dressed. And he said to me, "Am I really those things?" And I said, "No, no, you are not those things. I want you to take it out of your head. You are not those things. You are not what they call you. I don't ever want to see you come back to this place and do that again." And then I was trying to just instill confidence inside of him as I was getting him dressed and helping him brush his hair and that. And afterwards, I was just sitting on the floor of the locker room crying so much. And the number one dominatrix in the room saw me crying and sat on the floor next to me and said, "Listen, you can't say yes to everything that comes in. You don't need to prove. We know that you're good at what you do." And she said, "How you deal with grief is you leave Contessa Doll at work. When you get out of here, you are Tessa. Leave it at work. Don't take it home with you." That's when I thought, hang on, I need to start setting boundaries for myself. And that still affects me to this day of
Wow.
having to do that. And I did have clients that it did make me realize they're reenacting something that happened to them in their life because it's very specific. A lot of them, one was even a priest that had come, and as long as it's not sex, he was okay with just being hurt and harmed. But
So I'm going to, oh my goodness, this is incredible. Well, the world is truly dark, and the Bible
yeah,
is so on point when it says that the whole world is covered in darkness, because
is.
almost every sector of life is corrupt.
It
One
is.
thing I've heard people say is that the enemy will cause trauma in your life, and then he will also use the same if you don't run to Christ, he will
Yeah.
also use the same trauma to come in. For example, the man that you described, he got raped. It wasn't his fault.
It was.
But instead of him to run to God, the enemy directed him to you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you see people just going worse and worse and worse, and it's not the solution. We both know that it was not the solution, but the enemy, he caused the trauma, he directs you to the next person, and then more trauma, and then you just getting worse. Like sometimes I will sit and on normal secular TV, they will so much promote new age. We know that new age is false. We know it's deception. We know it's highly demonic. But they will tell people, if you've been through trauma and you want to heal, new age, you release, and then something will take over your body and you experience this, and it's all demonic possession.
Yes, the devil uses you till you're the one sitting on that throne doing his work. And that's where I was the one bringing these people in. A lot of these men are leaving going, "Oh, I can't be myself with anyone else but you. You know the side of me and you don't judge me for it." So I thought I'm doing great things. And as I'm getting this reputation, I'm getting nominated for awards. And I'm winning awards, Fetish Fantasy, all of these Australian Adult Industry Awards. And I'm getting interviewed and I'm promoting this world to recruit a new lot of people. It's like the enemy is using me now to bring in a bunch of people to this lifestyle, and just telling them that there's no such thing as normal. We've all got these fetishes. Everyone's into this stuff, and praising this lifestyle, that this is the way to go. And this is how I got my power from a traumatic past. And now I'm just able to hold my head up because I can take the pain. And they never saw who I was behind the scenes, that I was starting to self-harm. I was self-medicated on a lot of medication I was starting to take. And then I was starting to hurt myself. And the pain that I was addicted to was electricity. And it was electroshock therapy, not therapy, but it was electroplay. That it was a tense machine with clips and pads and everything. And I used to, in the session, used to attach it to myself. And I used to, the pain was, it wasn't any warm up. It just went straight to the bones, past the nerve, straight to the bones kind of pain. I needed this pain, and I would sit there and I would be turning this machine up higher and higher. And then I had one of the of the customers say to me, be careful, because they can damage your nerves and make you go numb, and take a break from it once in a while. But I'm thinking, okay, I'll just attach it to a different part of my body and just, yeah. I even have videos of myself doing it to myself, like electrocuting myself. And I used to say that was the love of my life, that machine. I bought one for my own house as well. And if I was feeling bad, or I got frustrated sometimes because I couldn't feel pain because of this medication. But this machine never failed, because it knew where to attack and how to attack. And I was in just, my goodness, could have hurt myself so badly. And then teaching people how to do these things on, like these certain sex acts to do on themselves. Men were bringing their wives to me to teach them anal. I don't do anal, but I know how to do it to another person, how to warm them up, because these women didn't know how to do it. So I'm teaching on their wife how to do it. These
So
wives
they
want
can
to make
do it. So they can do it to their husband.
no. So that funny enough, the husband didn't want it on him. He wanted his wife to do it. So his wife would be there. She wants to make her husband happy. I'd be teaching them how to do it, what to insert, and the fingers and the vibrations and all that. I don't do that myself at all. But I'm teaching this man how to do it to his wife, and I'm thinking I'm saving their marriage.
Oh my God.
Because the last thing I want is, I hated the fact that a man would choose to spend his money on me rather than go and take his wife out. I used to hate hearing how a guy would say, my wife doesn't do this, and then thinking, hang on, I can teach your wife how to do this. Once again, I'm thinking I'm doing great things. And when that dungeon closed, straight away, the #1 brothel in Australia calls me up and said, come work for us. We need a dominatrix here, and you fit our look of what we want here. Because a lot of the girls there have got the glamour Barbie aesthetic that we want. So I went there, and a lot of the girls did not want me there because they heard my reputation. And but the owner wanted that money, that clientele, because he knew the men that were into that were the men that had a lot of money. They were desensitized by women. They were desensitized by sex. They wanted that extreme,
I'm not in that level.
being in this new brothel. And I was getting a lot of customers in, and a lot of girls wanted to learn because they saw the clientele that I was getting, and they also wanted to learn little tricks of the trade and all of that. And also new clientele, they want to learn, they want to experience it. So it was just a new ballground of just people that wanted to learn and to get into this lifestyle. And that's where I had met my friend. We became very close friends. And this is a girl, mind you, first of all, this girl protested of me coming to this club. She said, I don't want that trash in this club. And this girl and I had a history of fighting online. We did not like each other. And we had guy friends that used to kind of put us against each other. Lo and behold, we end up working at the same place, and we see each other, and I think it is on, and I'm going to make your life hell, is what I thought when I looked at her. And then a customer booked us together. And nothing brings girls together like fighting with a customer. This guy was rude. He said the worst thing you can possibly say, I don't pay you to talk to her. And that's it. I snapped. I saw red. I didn't see a girl who's my enemy. I just saw a man disrespecting a sex worker. And I lost it at him, and I shoved him right out the door. And then the next minute, the two of us are talking.
Became friends.
Yeah, I'm talking this, not love at first sight, friends at first sight. My goodness. The first time we met in person, we had so much in common. And then she asked me, why is your name Contessa Doll? And I said, my name's Tessa, and these are my dolls. And I threw my box of pills, my little packet of pills at her that I had in my purse with all my stuff that I took. And then she said, well, if those are your dolls, let's play Barbies together. And she threw her pills down. And I went, wow, we both got addiction problems. And we bonded over that. And she told me which doctors to go to and how you need to get your blood tested regularly so you don't accidentally overdose. And we bonded over that so much. We became very good friends. And this girl, my goodness, is beautiful. She was, imagine, the character Jessica Rabbit. She had a
Mm-hmm,
lot of
mm-hmm.
surgery to look like her. She had the big red hair
Mm,
and
the breast and everything,
oh my
yeah.
goodness, stunning,
Mm,
stunning, stunning, beautiful girl. And also a very charismatic personality to top it off. Like I took her to a party once and I was scared she wouldn't have fun. And then when next minute I look, she's sitting down at a table of women talking like she knew them. So this woman
mm,
made friends wherever she went. She was beautiful, she was confident, she was charismatic. And during COVID lockdown, when the place closed, I wasn't prepared for it. Like I couldn't get money from the government. Everything's being shut down. I couldn't work. I had no ID, mind you. And plus I was a sex worker. I don't know how I'm getting money. And it was just, what do I do? And I'm more focused on my savings, which are dwindling, and how am I going to survive during a lockdown? I was in my own world and I just ignored people's messages, and that I was able to go back to work. First thing receptionist says to me, my condolences. And I was like, what do you mean? And she told me that my friend, who I'll call her Dior, Dior's passed away. Didn't you know that? And I was like, no, she messaged me the other day. I didn't respond. And she was messaging me wanting to catch up. And I was stuck in my own world. And I needed to know what happened. I was shocked. No indication of this girl wanting to. She had booked surgery. Her butt was never big enough. And she was booking surgery to get another BBL. And I'm like, no, it could have been an accident of overdosing, because I know she told me to please be careful and get your blood tested, maybe during lockdown, because the waiting time if they're going to see a doctor and that. And she also liked to drink and she liked to party as well. Maybe she accidentally overdosed because they said she didn't wake up. And of course, lockdown, I could not go to her funeral. And because, they can only have small numbers, I came the next day and I went with one of the other girls, and I was horrified when I looked at her grave. And I've been to a lot of funerals. I've never seen such an empty grave. No flowers, not even a plaque. It was like a plastic. They written on some plastic and just a plastic cardboard and just put it on a stick and put it on her grave with a first name, last name, date of birth and death. No flowers,
mm,
nothing. And
mm,
for this beautiful, glamorous woman, that grave, I was really upset. I was so sad. It was empty and lonely. And I looked at my friend who had taken me there and said, I'm not going like this. I'm not going to go like her. I can't. I
mm.
can't. And then I refused to believe she was in the grave. I said, she's not in that grave. It has to be one of these other ones, one of these nice ones with the flowers. So my friend calmed me down and said, let's go buy flowers and put it on her grave. Okay, calm down. We'll buy a big bunch of beautiful flowers, put it on her grave. So I thought, I got to get off these pills. I can't go like this. So I used the next lockdown as a good time to get off these meds. And it was hell. They don't tell you how bad it is of getting off antidepressants, the first thing.
Mm.
And yeah, around that time, it was just in that brief period of lockdown that before I found out, before I came off the pills, actually, a customer came to see me and I was shocked because he was a little boy. He was just turned 18, freshly 18. And he booked me especially. I thought that he had walked into the wrong room because the brothel was a massive building that had lots of different rooms. Mine was the lowest floor and it was called the office. And I said, are you lost? And he said, no, I came to see you. And I nearly burst out laughing. And I said, okay, do you know what I do? And he said, yes. And I told him, okay, tell me what you want to do. And he said, I turned 18. I made him show me ID. And freshly 18, he said, for my 18th birthday, I booked one of these other girls for sex. Mind you, this brothel has beautiful girls there, models, influencers, the most beautiful women. And it's not cheap, it's expensive. So he picked one of these gorgeous girls that I know does a great service and said it was boring. Sex was boring. My first time was boring. I didn't like it. And I want to do something harder. And I said, why do you want to do this? Do you know what I do? And he said, yes. I've watched, and he said it was porn. He's watched porn from a young age. And when he did have sex the first time, he found it was boring. But he did watch the more violent stuff. And when you do watch porn, it does go darker and darker. You may type the most tame thing and it'll bring you into some dark, ridiculous options. And he was so desensitized that he was now going darker and darker, and he wanted to try these things on himself. So we were I was pointing at the equipment. I was trying to scare him. I said, what about this one? What about this one? And he said, yeah. And I also want the hook inside of myself as well. And you don't want to know where that hook is going to go. And he picked the size of the hook he wanted inside of him and then said, okay, let's go. I did a lot of stuff just to scare him. And then he said it was great. And then I'm like, he just said, he said, don't kiss me on the lips is the only thing. And I said, listen, I'm not going to kiss you. What makes you think I'm going to kiss you? And then he said, I'm saving this for my first girlfriend. And I was gobsmacked. And I said, you're into this? What are you going to do to your first girlfriend? And I thought back to my first boyfriend that had an addiction with porn, what he was making me do. What are you going to do to a girl, to a sweet young girl who's probably a virgin, who's never even seen a porn? And yeah, and I told him, mate, you've got to step back from this world. Once you're here, you're in for life. I can't go back to having a normal relationship because I'm so into this stuff. You don't want to be where I am. Blind. He just was in this. He wanted to see me again. I told the receptionist, don't ever book me with that child again. But I did notice my customers went from older men they were getting younger and younger. And everyone it was porn. Everyone had the same story. Like I'd say, it's porn, right? You saw it in a porn. And they wanted to try it out. And normal, what we call vanilla sex didn't turn them on. It was because they were desensitized from a young age. They wanted the violence. And I realized I was not the solution. I was the problem. I was part of the problem. I was promoting the problem. And that realization didn't hit me till now, getting to after lockdown, when I'm coming off these pills. And once you're getting off these antidepressants that were blocking just memories and thoughts, I realize I am contributing to the problem. There's probably women out there that are suffering because men are seeing what I'm promoting or what I'm saying is normal, what I'm saying is healthy, doing it to these women, or vice versa, other way around. Men are having it done to them. And just like, why am I doing this? And the realization and the guilt and that is hitting me as I'm coming off these pills. And let me tell you, I've come off, when I used to drink alcohol, I've come off alcohol and it was never like this. I have coming off these antidepressants and Xanax, I thought I was going to die. Worst pain I've experienced in my life, the worst. I went to the doctor, I thought I was dying, seriously. They said, be careful coming off these because people die coming off them. And I said, I can't stay on them. I'm on way too much of this stuff. It's a ridiculous amount. And when I went to, around that time, my cat died as well. And imagine being fresh of losing my best friend, my cat dies in front of me. And when I went to the vet, I was trying to cry. And you know, when you're crying and you just, it was hitting a wall. I couldn't get to that point of I was just howling. And it was frustrating. And they called an ambulance because they were worried about me. And when I went to the first doctor that could think, spoke to me in hospital and said, you need to get off these pills because you're not coping with grief properly. And feelings, these emotions are meant to be felt. They're not a sign of insanity or whatever you're led to believe. It's healthy. You need to cry. You need to feel. You can't do this to yourself. And she said, just go off it very slowly. And it's going to be painful. Keep in contact with your GP. And she put me onto a counselor at the time. And as I'm coming off these tablets, it's horrible. And I'm thinking someone recommended I should try marijuana to just help with this cold turkey. And it did help with the pain side.
The withdrawal.
With the withdrawal. But it was making me a bit kooky at the time, a bit crazy. And anyone who spoke to me thought that I lost the plot. So at the time, like things were going from bad to worse. Like, as I said, hell has a trapdoor. My goodness, it had the basement and the trapdoor and everything else underneath. Then the building was being sold. That, mind you, I'm having withdrawals and they're I couldn't move anywhere. I told the landlord, I can't move. I don't have ID. I don't even have money. I'm almost down to nothing in my bank account. And I was unable to even pay rent. And during lockdown, you can't really evict anyone in Australia. So he sold the building. So I had a very limited amount of time to get out. So I called friends. I asked family. I said, please, I need to move. One of you, I need help. The best people in the industry can do was, can you appear in my OnlyFans video and I can pay you? That's the best. And it wasn't what I was used to getting. It was what would cover groceries or rent that week. And I bit the bullet. I called my father. I spoke to my sister. I said, my sister, tendency to twist things around. She said, well, I know that you're smoking marijuana. I know you're doing drugs. I explained to her why I am doing this. I said, I'm seeing a doctor. I'm just doing it for the withdrawal symptoms. And she's saying, it's wrong to get off your medication. You need your medication. I said, listen, I don't need that medication. Even the doctor told me to get off it. You don't need it. It's causing more harm than anything. You're not going to live much longer if you're going to be on this stuff. And she knows about my friend that had passed away. And she had spoken to my dad and convinced him not to send me any money because my dad sent me some money. I said, all I need is my ID. You guys need to help me get my ID. And I spoken to a lawyer, and my sister had convinced my dad for years that I cannot be helped because people of a certain age, your parents cannot help you get your ID. Garbage. Mm-hmm. I spoke to a lawyer. One of my regular clients is a lawyer. He said, that's a load of garbage. I can try and help you as much as I can. And I said, I just need you guys to sign a few papers. I can get my ID. But my sister had completely convinced my dad. She told him everything, by the way. She's a prostitute. She's a junkie. She's this and that. Don't give her any money. And when I called my dad up this one time, one of my sister's baby daddies, one of my sister's 3 baby daddies, spoke to me and said, listen, for years, she was been telling your dad a bunch of stuff about you, that you're a danger to yourself. You do this, you do that. And when I spoke to my dad, I tried to explain my side of the story. He said the most vile things to me. He said, I'm not one of those guys that puts that thing in your mouth. Don't lie to me. And then I just swore at him and I said, at least there is more honesty with those men than it is with you. And at least those men care about me more than they do with you, because I'm literally having customers help me now. I never spoke to him again after that. I want nothing to do with him ever again after that. And I had a male friend, the same one who recommended that I do porn, by the way. He contacted me and I said, listen, I need to, he's got spare rooms at his place. He said, listen, you can move in with me. And I thought, oh, thank goodness. And my sister was sending cops to my house. I'd wake up one morning, there's police at my front door saying that, oh, we hear there's drugs and you're a danger to yourself and that. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is just a family, there's arguments. And this is the worst time possibly. I'm coming down and I need to pack. So, of course, she knows how to attack and when to attack. It's your weakest. She even said to me, you're a cornered animal now. And just having a lot of fun toying with me. And mind you, she lives in a different state. And calling everyone, family members, don't help her, don't send her money. She's a junkie, she's a prostitute, she's going to be homeless soon. And according to her, I lost all my money from doing drugs. Not because there's a international nationwide pandemic, because I spent it all on drugs, as according to her. And then one day the guy calls up and says, sorry, you can't move into my house. Mind you, I'm getting evicted the next day. And I'm getting ready to move into his place. And I'm crying and I'm begging him. I said, I'm going to be homeless. My sister had called him up and told him a bunch of garbage. Do not have her in your house. She's dangerous. She needs to be in a mental hospital. She's crazy. And I thought, this is it. I understand it. I get it now. I'm not meant to be alive. I'm fighting to stay. Why am I fighting to stay alive? I'm going to be homeless. And I just adopted this new cat, which is making noise over there now. I just adopted this beautiful, precious new cat that used to be a wild, feral cat. I just gave her a home and we're going to be homeless together. And I just felt like the world had taken everything from me that it possibly could. And now I'm going to be discarded on the streets. And I lived in an area where there was a lot of homeless people that I used to just think, I don't ever want to be there. It's sad. And I thought, I'm going to end up there. And I am not cut out to be homeless. So I just thought, this is it. I sat in the dark and I sat on those stairs and I just looked at those boxes that were packed and I thought, I've got to do it. I've got to make it clean and I've got to make it quick. And I can't wake up in hospital because I have tried to end my life before and I've only woken up in hospital. So I need to do this. And I realized hanging is going to be the best thing because it's clean. And it's what happened to the guy who had taught me how to be a dominatrix. He accidentally hung himself. So I'm thinking that
So
this is going to
he passed. The one that taught.
accidental asphyxiation, a professional, mind you, who took it too far and actually hung himself. And
While he was performing the art
on himself, yes, he was
on himself.
choking. He was performing a sex act on himself and hung him and was. It's a thing that people do, asphyxiation, that is so dangerous. It's to release, get the ultimate climax, and he obviously
Went too
choked.
far.
Yes, it didn't wake up from it. And I know people that have hung themselves and never woken up, and I'm thinking this is the way to go. And I can just tie, I've got my BDSM kit with all my ropes in. I can tie a noose. If I jump off this banister, there's no coming back because it'll be a clean break. And so I just, I tied the noose, put it around my neck. I tied it to the side of where the banister is, and prepared to jump over the side. And before I jumped, I thought, it flashed in my head, if you say sorry, if you repent in the last minute, you won't go to hell. I was scared of hell. Out of everything, I was scared of going to hell. So I sat down on the stairs. I just said to God, I know why I got here. I get it now. I get it. I'm sorry for what I'm about to do, but I can't go on. And I get it. I'm being punished for what I did. I didn't even ask for help. I just said, sorry, I don't want to go to hell. If like I pretty much trauma dumped in that prayer. And I just said, God, forgive me what I'm about to do. Got up, stood over the banister. I was hanging by my fingertips, getting ready to jump on the count of 3. And then I felt something warm wrap itself around me. And then I just felt, I didn't hear it, but you feel it on your spirit, something say, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And then the tears were streaming down. I said, okay, I'm going to be homeless. What do I do? What's your brilliant solution? What do I do? And it said, open the Bible, open the Bible. And I had a Bible in my BDSM kit I used as a tool. I never read it.
Right.
So I went to my BDSM kit. I opened the Bible, skimming through the pages, thinking, what am I doing? And then I saw the name Mark at the top. And then I realized I got to call my friend Mark. I should call him. I called my friend Mark and he said, I've got a spare room at my place right now. Just pack your things, calm down, pack your things, just get over here. It's okay. I don't know who your sister is. I'm not going to listen to any gossip. I'm not one of those. Okay. I'll block her now on Facebook, Instagram. And I realized, okay, the living situation's taken care of. But I'm at ground zero. I've got nothing. I've got no ID. I don't know where to start. I don't know that there's any coming back from being the face of BDSM in Australia, what is known of the queen of BDSM, living this life. What is there for me on the other side? People know my face. They've seen my videos. What have I got? I've got nothing. I'm skimming through the Bible. I see the word prostitute. I had to do a double take. And I thought, prostitutes in the Bible. I'm thinking this is going to be good. It's probably a woman getting stoned to death. I'm reading the story of Rahab. And my goodness, I'm reading that this woman is not being judged. She's not being persecuted. She's not on her knees begging for forgiveness. She's a main character. And she's not like side character, anything. She's quite a great woman. And she helps. Next minute, they said Rahab, the great grandmother of Jesus. I nearly dropped the Bible. Wow, Jesus had a prostitute in his lineage. I'm thinking the Bible sees me. It sees me where I was. It's not discarding me because of what I was taught in the church. the purity culture I was taught in the church, that the only women that are valuable are young virgins. Everything else is just useless. I felt that I'd lost my value as a human being, as a woman, especially. I'd lost all of that. And the Bible is showing me directly that I was still very valuable, that God still loves me. He still saw me. And it's what I needed. Pastors for years, I would sit there, I would listen to in the Brethren church tell me that I was a sinner, a woman that wasn't pure, was going to hell, she was never going to marry a good man, everything. And now I'm being told directly from the Bible that he must have missed that part, that major part, and jumped straight to what he thought a woman should be. And it's reading directly God's word of how he still loves me and he sees me, and forgiveness and everything. I thought, God, I'm going to trust you. Everything is in your hands. You know, like the Jesus take the wheel. It's all in your hands, God. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, the next day. It's all in your hands. Okay, after a rough in-between period of adjusting, the devil constantly trying to drag me back. I resisted going back, but I did go through some horrible spiritual warfare in that meantime. But my mum called me. My mum I hadn't heard from for years. We had a falling out. Calls me up and she says, Tessa, I want to hear it from your mouth. Your sister is telling everyone you're a prostitute, you're a junkie, you've been in jail, you are living now in a homeless shelter. Tell me from your mouth what is going on. And I told her from the start to the finish what is happening. I said, first of all, I've never been in jail. I haven't been charged with anything. I'm not in a homeless shelter. I'm living with my friend Mark. And this is clearly not a shelter. It's a house. And she listened. I didn't sugarcoat it. And then at the end, she said, how do I help you out of this world? And I said, Mum, I need my ID. That is all I need. And I needed to hear someone say, how do I help you? And together, she, from Perth, Western Australia, signed a few papers. She didn't even know how to go about it. She went into a library and asked the first person behind a desk, how do I do this? And they helped her. My ex-client, who was acting as my lawyer, who actually is a lawyer, but he helped me. I got my ID, and the day that I got my ID, I cried and I cried. And it wasn't for relief. It was like all that I could have been in these years that I was working in this industry. I could have taken a different direction if I had this tiny little thing that gave me my identity, like made me be noticed as a person. And at that point I cried, and that's when my cat jumped on me, who's never been affectionate before. She jumped on me and purred to calm me down. I'm thinking, okay, God is watching out for me now. God is kind of saying, okay, I've got you. I enrolled to go finish my education. First thing I did. And yeah, the government was able to pay for that, which is good. In Australia, the government can cover your certificate 3, it's called. So I did that. I wanted to join a church. I realized not all churches are bad. And I previously been to Hillsong, and like back in the days when I was a sex worker, I reluctantly went with one of the girls, and I realized this church isn't so bad, but I never went back. And I went to Hillsong. Message was great, but it didn't have a family community feeling. I went, then they closed down temporarily. They had a COVID outbreak. And I went for a walk that Sunday, and I was just thinking, I need to find a new church in this area. First of all, I moved to an area where I don't know anything and anyone. It's not familiar to me. And I walked past this building. It doesn't look like a church. It had bouncing castles at the front and lights. And I hear the speakers, and the pastor inside says, you belong here. And I'm thinking, okay, this has to be a sign. So I read online about this church. This church is unfiltered. They will say it. They don't sugarcoat anything from the Bible. They will say it, God's word, directly. And I'm one of those people. I'm unfiltered. And a lot of it shocked me what they were saying. But I had a feeling I had to go there. So I went there. The first day I went there, I'm an introvert in real life. I'm not the Contessa Doll person in real life. I'm Tessa. I'm very much an introvert. And as I walked into the church gate, a bunch of people turned around and smiled at me. I did a U-turn to walk out. And one of the older men grabbed me by the arm and brought me back in and said, "Oh, sister, how long? Is this your first time here?" And they were talking, and I'm so nervous. And they said, "Come and sit with us out the front." And I said, "Listen, I'm more comfortable being at the back." And they said, "Okay, it's fine. You do you. Enjoy the service. We'll meet you afterwards." And I listened to my goodness, unfiltered from the Bible, exactly how what I needed to hear. It's not what I wanted to hear, it's what I needed to hear from the Bible. And it was nothing like the brethren saying, judging me of who I was and what I was. And as I walked out of the church, the female pastor, she's the husband of the lead pastor. We've got 4 of them at our church. And she was the wife of the lead pastor. She did a beeline straight towards me. And she walked towards me and said, "Okay, is it your first time here?" And she asked me questions, and she said, "What's your testimony?" And I went, "I'm not ready to tell you yet." And I came back a week later, and I told my mum, they asked me what my testimony is. And she said, "Tell them, and if they judge you, go find another church." And I thought, okay. So I went there, straight, same thing. She was preaching that day, amazing message. She walked straight off that beeline to me straight after church and said, "Okay, what is your testimony?" I told her everything. We sat down, start to finish, didn't sugarcoat anything. She listened, and then she said, then afterwards she hugged me, and she said, and it was a big hug, and she said, "You are no longer those things. You're a child of God." And yeah, and this is, I was expecting her to say, "Get out." And and I've been at that church ever since. And before I became a sex worker, years ago in my teens, I worked at a daycare center with my mum. I worked at the one that my mum worked at, and my mum did family daycare, so I was used to being around, well, helping look after kids. And they knew that part of my life. And I went, one day I was walking into service, and a little girl walked past me, go, "Hi, Tessa." And I thought, wow, that's my real name, Tessa. It's not Contessa Doll. And I never heard it in years being said that sweetly, that pure and that innocent. And I thought I should maybe work in I thought it was a ridiculous idea. And I spoke to one of the mothers. She goes, "No, you'd be great working in kids ministry, because we always need extra hands in there. And you're one of the older women, have got a lot of young girls in there working." So, yeah, all the mothers were on board with it. Mind you, they know my backstory. There's nothing. And they said, no one who's at this church has come from a clean background. We're all sinners. Trust me, we all got our skeletons in the closet. So I was with the kids, loved it, still with the kids. And one day I'm thinking this life is behind me, of the pastors behind me. My social media is on private. The sexy photos are down, or they're being archived. And it's I've moved on. Life's moved on. I'm seeing my friends that have left that industry move on and showing their new jobs and their husbands and their families. And I'm thinking, I'm going to show where I am now, just for my close friends. So then I decided to put my Sunday school photos of me with a Sunday school class online, just to show where I am now, just for an update. And I got a lot of positive messages going, "Wow, that was a change." I get a phone call. It's a journalist saying, "Are you a Sunday school teacher now?" And I went, "Yes." "Oh, does your church know?" "Yeah, of course they do." And I said, "They're great." And then we spoke, and she was very nice, mind you. And that week, that Sunday, my phone is just buzzing off the hook. Like, I didn't think anything of it, because I'm thinking, who cares? Who was I back then? I wasn't as big as, what I thought I was. And then the phone is pinging off the hook that Sunday, and I'm with the Sunday school class. I can't concentrate, and I'm thinking, this is Mum. Like, I was ready to tell Mum, go, "Listen, I'm in the middle of the Sunday school class." The first message I see, "I'm so sorry. Oh, have you seen this? Oh my goodness. Are you okay?" It's screenshots of, I'm in the newspaper. I'm front page news everywhere, and not just Australia, around the world, being translated into many different languages, even in South Africa, even in the UK. It's on the front page, and every newspaper. She was a dominatrix. Now she's a Sunday school teacher. And it has a photo of me in my leather, holding a whip next to me in my Sunday school uniform. And I was like my goodness, I was shaking. And I had to walk out. One of the younger girls took over when I was teaching, and I walked into the bathroom of the church, and I was shaking. They're looking at these. I'm scrolling. I'm seeing my name is everywhere. Social media. Oh my goodness! Everyone's seeing this. The church is going to see this. This is every sex worker's nightmare once you leave that industry, and they out you. And I'm outed around the world. And I'm thinking, this is my last day in the Sunday school. And I'm trying to breathe. One of the mothers came out of the store and she said, it's going to be okay. I showed her and she said, it's going to be okay. The church knows, we know who you were. You didn't hide anything from us. And I said, have you seen the headlines? And she said, it's disgusting, but she's skimming the story. She goes, but the story it's okay. It's not bad. Once you read the story, the headline is kind of, wow, my goodness. But once you read the story, it's not so bad. It's kind of, well, I found a better life for myself type of thing. And after the Sunday school, I went straight up to the pastor's wife. I showed her. She read it and she said, listen, you're going to be okay. Our church is in the newspaper occasionally for how outspoken we are. People will forget about it soon. And the church has got your back. Okay, you're not going anywhere. You've been honest with us from day one. If anyone's got a problem, if they call us, we're going to stand up for you. And I thought, wow, this is what a church really is. This is a church family. These are Christians. And my friends from the industry and all of that, and my mum were trying to make me see the funny side of it, try to make me laugh about it and say, listen, that's the best you can do at this situation. But I'm thinking it's a nightmare and I'm crying on the bed. And I'm thinking, God, you've taken me this far to make me a joke. I'm reading what people are saying about me. I'm a laughingstock. And the headings of this is making it sound so camp and ridiculous that this woman who dressed up as a nun now teaches kids out of that same Bible type of thing that they're making it sound. And like God is telling me on my spirit, trust me on this. And then I get messages, a lot of messages, and it's from sex workers. And they're just saying how the story really touched them and inspired them to go back to church. And am I okay? And yeah, I spoke to them and some said they found God and they really they've seen how God has changed my life. And it's inspired them to take that step to go to church. And can I recommend a church to them or anything? And I'm still being asked today. And I realized this was God reaching out around the world to these sex workers that have approached me. And then Pastor Brittany from America, who used to be a sex worker, she was a porn star, an escort, everything. And she is now married. She's a pastor of a church, so is her husband, and they have a beautiful family. She contacted me online and said, listen, ignore it because they hated Jesus too. The world hated Jesus before you. And from there, I got into doing outreach, which I'm going to be doing tonight as well, where we go and with an outreach group, we go to different brothels and we ask the women, are you okay? Do you need help? We give them gifts. We give them maybe like some snacks, because I know a lot of brothels, they don't supply food for the girls. And we talk to them. We offer, like, can we help you? Are you in a situation only prayer can help? We can also pray for you. A lot of women want us to pray for them. Or talk, because they recognize my face, I can get in the door of that brothel and not feel any fear. And then they open up once they realize who I used to be, because they're not going to open up to anyone outside of their world.
You don't feel like you're going to judge them.
Yeah. And in that world, you only trust that community of women. And once I go in, I'm able to talk to the women, I'm able to speak to them. I realize God used that as a stepping stone for the next chapter of my life, was to help other women. And as horrible as that experience was, I'm now able to just put it out there and just, hey, listen, I was in the newspaper. This is what happened to me. Sex workers, this is your worst nightmare. And look, nothing bad happened to me. If your boyfriend, if your pimp, if your club is going to out you to the outside world, nothing happened to me. My face was around the world. Nothing happened to me. No one came after me with pitchforks or chased me out of the city. Nobody kicked me out of the church. I'm still a Sunday school teacher, still there to this day. And the kids even know. They had to have a special meeting with the kids to explain to them. So they they're not
Hmm.
they don't learn it on their own. So I wasn't treated any different by the kids, and I put it out there. Don't be afraid of people outing you. If they're
Hmm.
going to do it, just say, oh well, it's going to be horrible for a while, but life goes on, and nothing bad has happened to me. A lot of people don't want to leave the industry because they're scared. They don't, the stigma. They
Right.
believe they're unable to move on from who they were, especially if their face was out there like mine was. No,
Right.
I'm able to have a normal job now, normal 9 to 5. And from that, I started getting a lot of interviews from podcasts. And
Hmm.
now I'm also a co-host on a podcast called Like the Battlefield, where I interview people that have overcome some pretty bad stuff in their life and
It's good.
able to share their stories as well. And from there, I've co-authored a book called
Hmm.
Transgression and Recovery, which was a bestseller last year, that I was
Wow.
able to tell a small portion of my story.
Right.
And this year, in August, is the actual biography with no filter. I'm not
Hmm.
going to sugarcoat anything. And there's a lot of stuff that I have not yet disclosed that I'm not ready to disclose. But I
Hmm.
will be telling in this book that has happened in this industry. And once I left the spiritual warfare, like I feel like I never covered or warned people that once you leave that world, the enemy is going to punish you and try and pull
Oh
you
yeah.
back because you worked for him. You were
Yeah.
trained in his camp. Now
Yeah.
you're using what you've learned in his camp to help people. I'm going to try and
Right.
destroy you.
Destroy.
And I went through a time of just thinking there must not be a God for a horrible 3 week period that I will be covering in the book, and just,
Hmm.
having to put my blind faith in God to get me out of that horrible situation.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it's going
I
to be
mean,
covering a lot of stuff.
definitely, definitely, the enemy comes after you once God save you.
Yeah.
Because number one, he's hoping that the church will kick you out so that you can
Mm,
return back to working in the brothel and all that. And
mm,
like you said, the other girls in the industry, he wanted to use
mm.
it and say, you know what, you are useless. Everybody knew you knows that you are a sex worker. So
Yeah.
if you come out, you're not gonna get a job. So it's almost like you need to stay here and die here.
Yes.
You know
Yep.
what I mean?
And
But
I thought
what
that
God
was
did,
me.
yeah, God now turned it around
Mm,
where it became a thing of like testimony, evangelism.
yes.
Other women are now reaching out because God, there's no wisdom compared to the wisdom of God. He is wisdom
Yeah.
personified. He's wisdom.
And
So
I'm
go
so
ahead.
glad I get to
Mm.
warn women, because there was a one of the women we'd spoken to at the surprisingly at the brothel. They was one of the group of women that pretty much told us to get out. They were rude to our group, and they were smirking and laughing at. They called me dominatrix girl as soon as I walked in, and
Mm.
yeah, they one of them contacted me and apologized, and then she found God now, and she's inviting me to her baptism, which is going to be very soon. That I'm going to be crying the most there, and yeah, so she's turned to God. She's left that industry. She's left. So I have been helping a lot of women along the way, and once they hit that spiritual warfare, I'm able to talk them through that and say, "Listen, it happened to me.
Yes.
Horrible stuff that's happened to you. Find another church. Find it. It's
Mm.
not God. Trust me that."
Right.
The
Right.
enemy plants his people in churches as well. So you
Right.
just got to focus
Oh.
on your relationship with Jesus.
I want us to touch on the fact that once you start drawing near to God and you started going toward the things of God, I remember the phone call that you got to return back. Can you share that aspect of the story? And they are like your customers. Because
Oh,
it happened
geez.
to me too. Once, when you come out of entertainment industry and you
Yeah.
start telling people and start
Mm,
exposing it, one of the things the devil does, he tell people that you are jealous because you didn't make it,
mm,
right? But the truth is that once you find Jesus and you're going towards Jesus, whatever height that you never had before, they're literally offering it to you on the platter of gold. And you are the one that is going to say, no, no, no. Jesus has opened my eyes that this is devilish. I don't want it. whatever you want to give me, I don't want it. I'm out of here.
Mm.
But they are begging you, come back, we'll give you whatever you want. So I wanted you to share that aspect so
Oh,
people can know that whenever they say you are jealous, you didn't make it, that's just a tactics of the enemy to make people feel like we are wacko,
no,
or that
I
we are not
felt like
so didn't make it.
I was someone. I felt like I was really somebody in that industry. And the first year that I left, I felt like I'm nobody now. God, you took me from uh, internationally, not internationally, but Australia's number
Mhm.
one dominatrix that was pretty much worshipped and having rich, powerful men licking my shoes clean, to now feeling like the bottom of the barrel. Like I don't have a job, I don't have anything. I just felt like you've taken me to be a nothing. But I think God was, yeah, rebuilding me from nothing.
Yeah.
And I had like when the after COVID lockdown, when the brothel opened, I get a phone call that I've had a lot of customers. I'm talking like nearly 100 customers trying to call me, saying that they want a booking with me. And then I said, no, I'm never coming back there. And then my poor cat needed to go to the vet. I don't have any money, so I was working, I was studying at the time, and I had a job that was paying only a quarter, not even a quarter of what I would make back when I was in that industry. I would cry if I went home with that money. Seriously, back in the old day. And
Mhm.
I was surviving off this, and my cat needed $2,000 for her teeth to be removed because, yeah, she has a lot of allergies, and I don't
Mhm.
have that money. So I get a phone call saying if I'm able to be to run an agency, to run a brothel, and they said it's paying $2,000 a week. I had to, yeah, yes, and I realized that the enemy does listen to our grievances. Like
Okay.
there are times that I thought, who's going to marry me now? Yeah, like I would love to have a family. I would love to have children, to even adopt children, but who's going to want me now like this? That week, a Muslim friend proposed to me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, no, no. And and now I've got to realize that the enemy listens to prayers as well. And every time I know now not to think or vent about anything about who's gonna like,
He will send you somebody. The
yeah,
enemy will send you somebody because his whole goal is to get you out of Christ.
yes,
How can I get this person distracted? How can I get them out of Christ? Oh, she
yeah,
want a husband. Quickly send someone that is not a Christian to her. See if she's gonna take the bait, and then I can corner her out of Christ and probably destroy her life. Because that's
yeah.
what he's there for. Yeah.
And it was always like I have been asked out a lot of times
Mm.
since leaving that industry. And it just meant it's almost like God is showing you if you want a man, there's a man. If you want the right man, you can wait, but you'll be happier. Trust me. I
Mm.
can already see that I trust God. I follow God. God is who I'm focused on now. And if God wants someone for me, he will send the right person at the right time. But now it's just him and me and the work that I need to do and to help these women. That is my main focus. That is my main goal. And that is what I pray a lot to God about. And every time I see this new generation of girls wanting to join the sex industry, I
Mm.
realize, God, please help me and send me the right people and the right connections to get through to these girls, to tell them that this content that you're seeing online, this OnlyFans content, you know, the girls of the Bob House, if you've heard of them, these young
Yeah.
girls, yeah. It's
Yeah.
a pimp behind this, like,
Good.
though you don't believe me, like in the old days when the pimp sent girls out to recruit in the clubs, flexing
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
their wealth and their
It's all,
lifestyle. This
I've
is
told
what it
my
is.
I've told my viewers several times that everything is evangelism. I say
Yes.
what I am doing right now is evangelism to tell you what God does. And what Satan does is deceptive evangelism to get you hooked and to destroy you. In your
Yeah.
story, you have shared how many people died already.
Mm. Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
I've been to lots of funerals. I was scrolling through Instagram the other day, and I'm looking at these girls from the Bob House, these top earners, talking about 2 years ago. Look at me, I was a waitress at Hooters or the Waffle House, and look at me now. And thank you, OnlyFans.
deception.
I'm thinking, this is what the girls that used to work for the pimps did. You're recruiting new girls to OnlyFans. You're recruiting new meat to OnlyFans, and this is all it is. It's a digital pimp recruiting the next generation of girls that are going to be brokenhearted once they leave because they're not going to make that money. And when I talk to these girls in the brothels, and I've noticed they're getting younger and younger. When I talk to them and they talk the same thing, that they weren't earning money, they thought OnlyFans was going to be a quick fix. And a normal girl on OnlyFans could earns like 200 like a month or something. It's nothing, because they saw these girls like Sophie Rain and assumed, oh, I'm prettier than her, I've got a better body than her, I'll make more money. And she said she doesn't even have to get naked. They didn't make the money. It's the biggest lie that they could tell these girls, that they were going to become multi.
It's all deception. Even the girl that they want to be like, she herself is highly deceived. Like, she may be popping all kinds of pills and, just like you had all kinds of drugs just to, it's all deception. The enemy is very wicked and very deceptive.
It is. That facade, that woman, Contessa Doll, is a fictional character, and it was not me behind the scenes at all. And I look at interviews of myself at that, and I'm putting on this strong character, and that was not me behind the scenes.
Oh my goodness, your story is incredible. And I want to talk more about your relationship with Jesus. How real is Jesus to you, the Bible and the things of God? Because a lot of people think it's a fairy tale, we're stupid, we're brainwashed, and so on and so forth. God spoke to you during the times you were about to take your life.
Yes.
He interacted. So share with us, how real is God to you? And what is the name? Because you can say God and people say, oh, is Allah or is whoever. So I want you to be specific on who this God is and your relationship with him and the Bible.
I think, to me, Jesus is everything. It's the foundation of my life and who I am now, and who my entire life, every morning I thank God for, I ask for the blood of Jesus to cover me throughout the day, to protect my cat, to protect my my journey, my health, everything. It's like the foundation of who I am now and my next chapter, because I've seen where I was and I've seen where I've come now. And I could not have done that without Jesus. And everyone says that, no, you helped yourself, you got yourself out. I've been trying to help myself for years. I put my faith in doctors, in psychology. I could afford the best psychologists and the best doctors back then, and I was still in that industry. I was being told what I was doing was a great thing, and it was putting everything in Jesus's hands that, honestly, I wish I had done sooner, but I was the hatred inside of me and having the ego of the platform that I was on, that thought that now I'm powerful. I'm not the one that's being abused, I'm the abuser, and people are paying me to do it. It was just being blinded to everything, of being stuck in that world, and realize it was destroying me slowly. It was killing me inside, and I would not have survived. I wouldn't be here. I would have been another casualty in that industry, another empty grave that no one would come to visit. And it wasn't much. I didn't have to, it was just saying sorry to God is all I had to do. I didn't have to make some big, I don't know what some churches make people go through in their past.
You invited him, you just turned to him, you say, oh, I'm sorry. And then he started communicating with you, and then look at where you are. How has he helped you through all those childhood traumas? Medication didn't help you, and all these other things didn't help you. How has Jesus been helping you through the childhood trauma?
It's like God is opening my eyes and showing me what happened to me when I was younger. I was not a horrible child. I was a normal child. I was not a bad child. I was a little free spirit that didn't want to be in that church. I was not a dumb child. I just couldn't see. And over time, it made me believe that I was this bad character. And if I'm a bad character, I should be with the bad people. And God made me see that I was in a bad situation, and I was the victim of a very bad situation, and I used that and became the villain. And God has just made me see how I can help others in that situation, and just to make sure no other, especially when I'm in the Sunday school, just to not be like that, because
Oh, sorry. I just connected the dot. As a child, the church made you feel like you were evil and everything. And here you are. God has redeemed you. And now you know better and what to teach these kids because you've been through it and you know what it's like to demonize a child. Oh, my goodness.
There was like the one little Afrikaans girl in the church. She could not speak English when she came. She was a little baldy, no hair, and she was very smart though. And she could not speak English at all. So I spoke to her in my horrible broken slang Afrikaans, and I would teach her little things about. She'd had so many questions about God. Like, first of all, when she got there, she cried constantly. And then I spoke to her, the two of us held hands and we spoke. And then she said, why don't people talk to me? Why do they only make noises at me? I went, what are you talking? I realized she can't, it's English. I said, it's the English language. You have to learn to speak it. And they're not making noises at you. They're trying to talk to you. And then one day she asks me in Afrikaans, why does God take so long to answer prayers? And I'm thinking, wow, this is a very good question for a child. And as I was like thinking, because hang on, God does, he could be a short amount of time or it could be a long amount of time. And I'm trying to explain it to a child. And I said, what are you praying for? She said, I'm praying to God for my hair to grow. Self-aware, knowing she's a little baldy. And because all the cousins got the nice hair going on now. And I said, listen, I got curly hair, you got curly hair. God takes time to make those curls. You've got to be patient. God's knitting those curls together. So a year later, I said, you just got to pray, you got to hang in there, you got to pray that hair will grow. You just got to pray. Hair has grown. I always remind her, see, you've been praying and the hair's grown. I'm never going to tell her that, see, look at that blonde girl. And I say, no, God's got to make those curls beautifully.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Wow, God really placed the right person with them. Praise God, praise God. Next one, is the Bible real? That is another question.
Yes, even the parts that you kind of find offending and like trust me, I came from a world where, because completely the opposite to the Bible, and there was parts in there that kind of made me like just want to close the book and walk away. And there are parts of the Bible that toxic people will turn around and use it for as a weapon. And a lot of churches use that, especially on a woman's purity. And it's just a lot. Once you read it and you have that connection with God and not from what the middleman is saying, you realize how God is speaking to all of us and not just a certain demographic of women. It's to all women.
For a long time, I personally thought that God hated women and that men were so special and they were everything and women were just like whatever. And certain churches, like you grew up in a very ungodly church. There are certain churches that can propagate the idea that women are just side luggage. The most important thing is a man. And people like me, people like you that have ended up as in sex industry and all that, some of that came from that background. Like, you're a woman, you are nothing. What can you tell girls out there right now about how God feel about them as a woman? What can you share with the women out there right now?
Okay. What I tell a lot of young girls in the church, God is a girl dad. He loves you. He gave you the ability to create life like he did. He didn't give that to men. He gave that to you. You are able to create like he does. And the misinterpretation and what I despise is telling girls that their virginity is some spiritual force that is going to protect them and give them a great husband. Garbage. I know a lot of girls who married and their husbands would come to see me. They saved themselves and their husband was there seeing me that same week. It's not. And if you were raped or you had made the mistake of losing your virginity, God doesn't love you any less. Repent, honestly, and you're not worthless once you were sexually assaulted, especially in our country, in South Africa, Africa, wherever, have been sexually assaulted. So imagine them sitting in a church listening to a pastor saying that you're no longer worthy because you don't have a hymen, that you don't have a virginity, and feeling inside that they're not a good person, that they're now worthless. And what worth am I to God in this church, or to a man that's gonna, this godly man that I was promised, this great man, because of my virginity? And I think it's the most toxic thing that they can tell young girls. Like, I do not promote sleeping around at all. And I'm very much a date for marriage. That's why I don't date at all. And it's not promoting sleeping around. Like, don't, if you have your virginity, that's great, fantastic. But if you were sexually assaulted, or as a young girl made the mistake of being pressured into doing something, or just a woman who wants to turn it around, God doesn't love you any less. He still sees you as valuable, as you're still his daughter. Like, for me, when I going back to the God, it was like a prodigal son moment. It was just this feeling of, I never left you. I was like, not like someone embracing me, was glad to see me again. I didn't feel judged. I didn't feel like, oh, well, you did this, 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 and this. It was, no, I'm happy to have you back. And when I look at how God has blessed my life, if I still had that idea that I'm worthless, I wouldn't think I deserved this. But I just have to remember that I'm God's daughter, and I'll do everything to make him proud now, to make him proud of me. And because I know that the love that I've been looking for, that I was looking for in men, I was looking for on stage, that confidence is in him. I didn't have to be on stage. I didn't have to do those magazines. I didn't need that confidence from a strip club. It all came from him. And that is, and I'm not talking about through a pastor of a church. I'm talking about your own relationship, your own relationship, reading the Bible and praying and getting God to reveal to you, like show you, guide you, take the wheel. It's not what others think about you. Who cares? Everyone's got a different opinion about who you are. My goodness, as a virgin up until the age of 21, I was being called a slut. People are going to call you and judge you and their opinions about you, but it's God's opinion that matters at the end of the day.
Praise the Lord. As we are going to wrap up, and viewers, you're going to get the opportunity to ask Tessa question. For a long time, because of misinterpretation of the Bible, I actually thought God hates women, the Bible hates women. But the more I read the Bible, the more I understand cultural context and everything. I'm like, God loves everybody. He does not put the men up here and put the women down there. No, it's all bad interpretation. Sometimes they take things out of context. Sometimes something that God is using to protect women, someone with an agenda. Like, for instance, if you have an abusive man, he can say, oh, shut up, because the women's supposed to be submissive, and they just misinterpret. But when you have the right teachers, the right interpretation, and the Holy Spirit start helping you, you will know that this God, he is love. He does not love one above the other. He loves men and women equally. And a lot of us that end up in the sex industry and all that is because of this misconception of, I'm looking for love, and we think it's not God and it's not the Bible and it's not, and then we are just all over the place until the devil almost finish us. You know what I mean?
And then we in hell with him. It's the devil makes us feel like our only worth is our bodies, our only currency, because we're taught in toxic ideas that the only thing we have to offer to men is our bodies, our virginity, our youth, our looks. But God shows you you're so much more valuable than what you are on the outside, which is very fleeting. It's a fleeting moment in our life to be attractive. But in God, he shows you what more that you are. And even though we have great pastors at our church, my biggest teacher is Jesus himself from the Bible. And when I'm in a situation, I think, if Jesus was here, what would he be saying to that person? To that girl in the brothel that is telling me, I don't want to hear about Jesus. he would listen to her, and he would not be, you're going to hell and this lifestyle. That's why I never tell them you're going to hell anywhere. I will listen to them. I listen to them, and I will meet them at a topic where we can both connect at.
Now, I want to ask you, who is Jesus to you as we continue to wrap up? Who is Jesus to you?
Jesus is everything to me. He's my father. He is my father in heaven, and he is the one that I've placed my entire life in his hands, and he is who I learn through every day. I put so much trust into, because when you have nothing, Jesus is everything to you, and he is the one that I'm saying, I don't know who I am. I don't know who Tessa Williams is, but Jesus over time revealed over the years who Tessa Williams is, who Tessa Doll is a fictional character you created. I'm going to show you who Tessa Williams is, and she's better than what Contessa Doll ever was. She's glorious, smarter than what you the other one could ever be. And I don't hate who I was in the past, because God saved that broken version of me. It's part of my journey, it's part of my story. I can only feel pity on that broken person and pray for others that have been in that similar life, because I was there. And I cannot hate. You will see me online defending sex workers. I could never hate them, because I was there and I understand it. And to all those men who say that women in the sex industry use God to suddenly clean our past and to find a good man, good. I hope that more women come to the church and clean their past.
Amen.
Every time I hear that the sex workers are using it, going to churches after they leave that industry, good. I hope more come.
Yes.
It's open to even more coming.
That's just the enemy being angry. That's all. You know, every time the enemy is angry, he throws some sentence out there and just like, oh, they've done all the evil and now they are going to Christ. Yes, thank God I'm going to Christ before it's too late, because I'm not going to hellfire with you. You know what I mean? you know.
And what man's going to want you? What man doesn't want us after? That's the thing. God knows the right man that is there for us.
Yes.
And I've never been, I felt like sometimes I was more judged in the industry. And a lot of these things that these men write to me, these angry men write to me, I can tell is straight from the enemy.
Of course.
It's straight telling me that you are useless and you're this. And someone said to me, get all the whores out of church. And I said, can you find that as a Bible quote? As a Christian man, can you find that Bible quote?
There are definitely human beings that they will say something, and because some of us have interacted with the enemy and we know the way the enemy speak, you will know directly that this is just a demon speaking through this human being to you, because the enemy talk through human beings. He does. So there are times people will like come to me with insult and everything. I was like, oh, that is so demonic, and I know that's straight from the devil, you know. And then I'm not replying to the person. I'm just saying, devil, I know it's you. Get deep behind me. I know it's you.
It's tempting, not because by nature I can be very sarcastic. I'm very being a dominatrix. I can roast people into oblivion, and I was getting death threats for a while. And having one guy claim to be a Christian and saying that if I ever step foot in his country, he's going to make sure I'm beheaded. And I said, well, okay, just as long as it's not my boobs, because they were really expensive. And then I quickly blocked him. So I just showed them I'm not scared. God's protecting me.
And hold on, you are getting threat because you became a Christian, because you left the industry.
And I'm helping women out of that industry. And it's a lot of young men that are saying that you're bringing these girls into our churches. We don't want them into our churches. It's not your church, buddy. It's not your church. This is God's church, and we will bring as many as we like. And I've also had one guy at the church, when I first started going to church, said to me, you know, when I saw you, I recognized you from one of the videos that I had saved that I used to constantly watch. And I thought God was punishing me for bringing you here. But then it's kind of like God was facing me with my addiction. And I got to see you as a human being. And he said he had the biggest shock of his life when he came face to face with a girl that him as a Christian was watching regularly this video.
Can you imagine?
A lot of the young men now, I know that you're feeling guilty about having that, watching the porn. This is why I very much speak out about it now, and how detrimental porn is to young men
Oh,
from
oh
what I've
yeah.
seen. And I
Yeah.
would love more men that used to work in that industry to speak out, to help these young men, to even do outreach at the male brothels. And we have a few here that men need help as well, because either with addiction or even working in the industry as well, because the devil
Some
doesn't discriminate against sexes.
at all. Something you say that is so powerful. I even wrote it down. The young 18 years old that been watching pornography for a long time, he came to you and he's like, oh, I booked the most beautiful girl and I had intimacy with her, but it was boring.
Yes.
The reason why it was boring, it was because of when you watch this unreal thing, you watch porn on TV, by the time you physically perform the act, it's boring because your brain have this hyper
Yeah.
whatever that it was not real. And the enemy does this on purpose because he knows that men can no longer perform in real life once they've been watching porn for a very long time. So what happened is that when these people get married, they start having problem with their
Yeah.
wife
Yes.
because
And
they're like, oh,
guys,
they're like, I'm
yeah,
not used to actually touching somebody. I'm used to touching myself while looking at a screen. And now I have to interact with somebody, and it's like, what is that?
yeah, we had a lot of guys like over the years, even when I was stripping, they would be regulars at brothels, regulars getting sex workers, regular at the coming to see me. They would go marry a virgin.
Hmm.
Back a week after the wedding, they're back.
Yeah.
They're coming to see us. My wife is boring. She doesn't know how to perform. She's lazy. She cries afterwards. They come and what did they expect her to perform like these women that were paid to perform? That's why it
Mm,
ruins the way that you're going to see intimacy. And when porn's the gateway drug. Porn is going to be the gateway drug that gets you into going harder and harder. And it, for me, when I got into BDSM, I got so accustomed to that kind of violence, and sex goes together. And that's why I think I don't date anyone for a while unless God heals me, because I noticed I was starting to have those problems where I would be watching a romantic scene from Bridgerton and feel nothing. Watching a horror movie like The Hostel and getting excited and going, God, help me, please. I was crying. I said, God, is this fixable? And then it's only now recently that, when sometimes you feel lonely and you're like, oh, and I'm looking, my favorite actor is Alan Rickman. He's passed away. But, and then realizing, I had to stop myself because I started fantasizing and it was romantic scenes. And I realized, hang on, I'm living romantic feelings again. It's not about being tortured. I'm okay. I'm on the healing mend now. Now it's romantic of being hugged and kissed and held in arms at night. And I'm thinking, okay, God's putting me on the mend now. It's not all about having something violent. And once those thoughts hit my mind, I've got to cut them off. And there's no way of going around it. And I'm just putting everything in God's hands now, that we do need to speak about what that industry does to people and how it changes your perspective on relationships, especially men that are getting their girlfriends to do stupid things because they saw it in a porn. And from someone who was on a porn, that stupid thing on camera. And we don't even like it. And we were uncomfortable doing it. And you're making your girl do it.
Right. It's very highly demonic. Sometimes the things that play out in human life, in real life, are things that if you ever like had spiritual experiences, especially the highly demonic ones, you see this thing playing out in the spirit realm. And then the spirit and the demons, they transfer it to the human realm, and then you see human act it out.
Yes.
So everything is coming from Satan's kingdom. He hates human being. He wants to torture human being. He wants to kill human being. He wants to wipe us out because the love that God have toward us is so much, and he has forfeit heaven, and he knows his destiny. So he just want to destroy as much human being, and then he lied to us and he deceived us, and he said this is fun, this is good, this is nice, but he's only trying to rewire your brain to become as demonic as him, and then you end up with the same destiny with him. As we round up, please pray. I know when we come back, maybe in life, you will pray again, but for now, just in case, pray for our viewers. Talk to the sex workers out there. Talk to any girl that is like feeling like I'm worthless. Every man, especially people from Africa, a lot of us girls from young age were raped. Africa is a culture of, if you dare open your mouth and talk, no one will marry you, and you will be shamed for an uncle raping you or a cousin raping you. So women, a lot of young women in Africa, lots of women in Africa are traumatized. So please talk to them and then invite people to the faith and pray for our viewers as we round up.
Our Lord and Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us all here together today to just speak to the hearts of the women, the young girls out there especially, that feel like all they have in this world to offer a man is their body, that their value is what is in between their legs, which is not how God had created women. He created us, we are the daughters of God. He created us as equally as important as everyone else in this world. Show these women that your love is the love that they are looking for in their hearts. The validation that they're looking for, Lord, is through you, and it's more fulfilling than any validation that they can ever get from any man, from any platform, anywhere. Lord, I pray that any girl thinking about getting into the industry, wanting to think a quick fix, Lord, please show her there's another way out, that your way, no matter how hard things are the right way. Make these girls feel that in their hearts they will always be valuable, no matter what is said to them, no matter their place, their situation, that they will always be valuable. And through you, Lord, is where their value lies, Lord. And Lord, I pray that also for the men out there in the industry. I know there's so many men that I've encountered in the industry, that they also find you, Lord. They don't need to be in that industry. The men that are having to sell their bodies to other men to survive, Lord, I pray that there's a way that they can lose that shame and lose that industry, lose those addictions. And also for those young boys that have got porn addiction, Lord, I'm praying that they find there's a better way out, that women are not objects to be used, that they see value in the women and they just lose that side of them, those desires, those lusts. I pray, Lord, over this whole industry, Lord, that you can once and for all shut down this whole industry, Lord. Shut it down. Save these women, save these men, Lord. Make these people turn to you, Lord, and show them that your way is the way, even if it's impossible for these women and they rely on this industry, these men and these women. I pray in Jesus' name that they get out of this industry, dry up this industry, find another way for these people. In Jesus' mighty and precious name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Amen and amen. Thank you. Thank you for the time. All right, viewers, it's time for you to ask your questions. If you have questions, start typing it, put it in the comment, and Tessa will be answering your question. If you have anything you want her to clarify on, please go ahead, type it. We have taken so much of her time. So this session is going to be short. It's going to be very short because we have taken so much of her time. So quickly type up your question and she will answer it. God bless you all. Thank you so much, Tessa. Let's go ahead and answer that question.